Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Super Cast Brothers. We are back with our Roster Redux series that we've been doing here all throughout Season 5. We took a little bit of a break during the last cycle to do our Pokemon Live episode, but that's done, so we're back to this. We've gotten halfway through this, and we're starting on the second half there with Super Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii. We've got our whole roster at this point up through Melee, and we're going to only be adding even more characters as we go through. Of course, as always, we do have a new guest on tonight, so it's not just me and Jonno. We've also got...
Oh, hey, it's me.
Wayofftrail is here. Oh, boy.
Oh!
Yippee Skippy.
The person I've done the most gaming content with more than anyone else. Sorry, Jonno, you're not quite there yet. You might overtake him someday. But you got a heavy hill to climb to get there.
The heavy hill that is off the trail. Way off the trail.
Yes.
Sometimes you just have to be way off. Especially to deal with Zantok, you definitely have to be way off on the head.
That's fair. But I also feel like you could say that same thing about Jonno.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Can you say the same thing about Way Off Trail?
To a less degree, but yes.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want this to be boring.
No. No, we
I don't know if you quite wanted to involve me either, but we've done it over 110 times at this point, so...
Yeah, well, I've had years of streaming with Wayofftrail, so...
Yeah, so now we to make it not boring, we just list all our characters and be like, all right, and that's it. Everyone bye. All right, no discussion, just done.
Yep.
Straight to the point.
All of my characters and none of theirs. Hey. All right, you can have some of your characters, but only the ones that are also on my list.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, there we go. Assuming we even have any for the same on our list. Oh my. So, before we begin getting into all of that, let's go ahead and go back over the characters that were added in our last... Well, not added in our episode, but where the roster stands after our last episode. So, for you video watchers, boom, here's the graphic. For those of you not watching and just listening, I will say who they all are for you. This segment gets longer with every episode, but oh boy, here we go. So, from the Mario franchise, we've got Mario, Bowser, Luigi, and Peach. From Donkey Kong, we've got Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and King K. Rool. From The Legend of Zelda, we have Link, Ganon, Ganondorf, and Zelda. From Metroid, we've got Samus and Ridley. We've got from Kid Icarus, we have Pit. From Punch-Out, there's Little Mac. From Mystery of the Murasame Castle, there's Takamaru. From the Yoshi games, Yoshi. Shocker, right? From the Kirby games, Kirby, Meta Knight, and King Dedede, all three of them. From the Earthbound series, we have Ness. From Fire Emblem, we have Marth and Tiki. From Star Fox, we have Fox and Wolf. From Pokemon, we have Pikachu, Mewtwo, Meowth, and Feraligatr. From F-Zero, we have Captain Falcon. From the Wario games, we have Wario. From the Game & Watch, there's Mr. Game & Watch. From Shin Onigashima, we have Donbei and Hikari. And then we have our pack of third parties, Simon from Castlevania, Mega Man X from Mega Man X, Bomberman from Bomberman, Solid Snake from Metal Gear, Ryo from Street Fighter, and Banjo and Kazooie from Banjo-Kazooie.
Good.
I'm so surprised Yoshi's from Yoshi. That's really throwing me.
I mean, technically speaking, he's from Super Mario World, but, he's had his own series branch off from there. So,
That's because he's the true star.
Yes.
He's also the name of my cat, so I might be a little biased.
That's fair. Yoshi is one of the most popular Mario characters. Like, anytime I see people being, picking their characters for, Mario Party or Mario Kart, Yoshi is the one that I will most commonly see people fight over. It's like, Yoshi's mine. It's like, okay, Jesus Christ, I wanted Waluigi anyways. Calm down.
Yoshi's a good guy. The only crimes that he commits are ones that we all should.
Yep.
Oh, I was committing the same crimes as Bomberman, but all right.
Oh. Well,
What?
I commit the same
Giving your
crimes.
friends gifts. That's it. What are you talking about?
I commit the same crimes as Solid Snake.
Oh boy.
clone.
Metal Gear.
That was like semi-convincing. You should be in the running for the anime
See-
series.
See, in my head, it sounds convincing. I don't actually know if it really does when, because you hear your voice different than how other people hear your voice. I
Mhm.
think it sounds good. I don't know if it's actually any good, but I like how I say it.
It sounds good. Yeah, it's better than I could do it.
Hey,
Probably.
yeah.
Yeah, I can do it. Although he's free to prove us wrong.
I will not.
You, yeah,
Okay, there you go.
you all suck. All right.
Yeah.
So we've said where the roster is so far. We need to talk about who we're adding tonight, but before we can do that, we need to go over what the rules for tonight were, as we always do. So right now, there are 39 characters on our Smash roster. By the end of tonight, there will be 55. We are adding 16 more characters. So there's going to be 16 characters from each of us. We will debate, we will discuss, we will threaten murder if we don't get our way. And by the end of the night, only 16 characters will remain who will be joining this lovely roster of characters who I am mostly happy with.
Sweet.
I'm not salty about last time at all. Not at all. I'm not still upset over it.
I'm
Nope.
so salty about it. None of my characters got picked.
That's true. None of your characters got picked in the last episode. You should be really upset with us.
I am pretty upset. Actually, there's the last few episodes, and I'm a little salty about it.
That's
All of them.
fair. That's very fair.
Except somehow Yoshi still got on there, so we're good.
That's true. That's your one character that made it on the list. Beyond that, the rules for tonight, as always, we have a deadline. Characters must have debuted in a game on or before December 31st, 2006. Quite the leap from the last episode where they only had like a year in between. Or not even a year. Less than a year in between the deadlines for Smash X4 and for Smash Melee. But here, we are jumping forward 7 years into the timeline. So a lot more characters, a lot more franchises are on the table now. So last time it was kind of like, in some regards, I feel like last episode was, we could be a little bit free with like, oh, well, here we can do, we don't have some series yet that we really want, so we can just throw these ones in. But now it's just like, okay, we have things that are new that we want.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other rule was we have our limit of third parties. This time around, we can add up to 5. Quite the jump from the previous episode. I guess the previous one was 3 up characters. But 5 is our maximum. Will we add 5? Don't know. We might add none. It's extremely possible. Maybe not extremely, but it is possible. So we'll kind of see where that goes. Beyond that, I think we're going to go ahead and ready to start picking some characters that we're going to be discussing tonight. How do you guys feel?
I feel like anything is possible in the Valley of Friendship.
That's not true.
Between us, brothers.
We're the best friends anyone could have.
Oh,
Yes,
some best
you-
friends who wouldn't let
you
me
are
have a
my-
courtesan's victory animation for Ezio Auditore.
You are not getting it.
It would have been great, and you know it. They would have just been dancing. That's
Maybe
it.
we'll find-
Shuffling
maybe-
back and forth. That's all.
Maybe we'll find some courtesans tonight on this roster.
I mean, we might.
Well, that's like 14 of my 16 characters.
Yes.
I'm so glad. Looking
Vindication.
forward to meeting them.
All right. Well, we're going to do as we've always done. We're going to go one by one, revealing characters that we'll be discussing tonight, going relatively brief on our reasonings. Starting with me, and then Jonno, and then Wayofftrail.
That guy.
He's last because he sucks.
That's fair.
All right, so let's see. Who do I want to reveal first? I think I know. A lot of times I will pick a character to reveal first, so I'm just like, here's the character that feels like at this point that it's either like they're the most missing character, or here's a new character that only just got created since the last episode would have been a thing. But they are huge. They made a splash. Fans love them. They like their games. And this character has gotten 2 games since then. everybody loves Cap and Olimar.
Hey,
Pikmin's great.
look at that
He's-
face.
It's so good. I recently rewatched all the games. Ah, man. I feel like Olimar's a strong inclusion. That's just like, you cannot miss him.
Sure. Certainly a strong choice. It's one of those ones where not to leap up too far off the ledge into speculation, but it's like there's always that guy, like Kirby on the Super Nintendo episode, so on and so forth.
Pikachu
Olimar.
for N64.
Yeah, Olimar feels like that guy now, where it's like I would not be surprised if he were on all of our lists, but that being said, I haven't even revealed him for mine yet.
You haven't. Nothing has been revealed from yours.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's on my. After saying that, I may as well just say Olimar's on my list.
All right, so you're revealing Olimar.
Mm-hmm.
Man, look at that face twice.
Hell yeah.
He's so cute. It's the nose. That honestly, that's like one. You just want to punch it, and so like obviously it should be good in Smash.
Yeah.
You know. And he's got cool minions. So.
He's got cool minions.
Yeah, I mean, anything else you want to say about him, Jonno?
Eat your heart out, Gru.
I mean, I mean, I might as well. I also have Olimar on my list.
All right, nice and easy. Yours is
Aha! Okay, he's a different spot.
He is, because I have a math to my ordering system.
Oh. But yeah, I also the Pikmin series is just so huge. So Olimar he's like got the great games, and he honestly, like, I love those games so much, and I think it's just as good to have in the series.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we have our first character that made it on all three of our lists. Will he be the only one? I don't know. Will he even make it to the roster? Well,
Probably not.
I mean, we've had one instance where it didn't happen, where one character made all three of our lists and didn't make it onto the final thing, so it's possible.
Because I don't know, I'm curious, who was that?
Sheik.
Oh, fair enough.
It basically came down to either do you want Sheik, Ganondorf, or both? And I wasn't feeling spicy enough to have both, and Ganondorf felt more important.
Yeah, I'm okay with that decision.
Yeah.
Thanks for consulting with me.
You're welcome. Alright, back to me. Let me see here. Who do I want to add in next? You know what? Let's do another character that only just started existing. Let's go to the Pokemon, shall we? So we've had Gen 1 just introduced for the N64 episode, Gen 2 for the Game View episode. We are now 2 more generations in. Gen 3 and Gen 4 are on the table. In Smash proper, we didn't get a Gen 3 Pokemon. I say nuts to that. I say, let's mix things up a little. We've got a fully evolved starter Pokemon with Feraligatr already on the list. So let's introduce the starter form of somebody. Let's have Trico.
Very nice.
Don't see many grass starters, or grass, I feel like line in general, when it comes to Smash.
Only Ivysaur.
Yeah. And that was kind of a surprise as well. I kind of like he piggybacked off of Squirtle and Charizard's more popular Pokemon because it was the natural fit after Order of Elimination.
Yep.
But yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. I like it. I would like more bipedal Pokemon in Smash or fighters in Smash. Speaking of, this is a nice segue into it. Yeah, this is, again, you mentioned characters that just started existing. Here's a fairly recent one that could even be called a Wii era character. Midna from Twilight Princess.
Technically true.
Yes, the winner of our first Tournament of Champions. And that's just for the sake of brevity, just going around the room. That's what I've got to say for now.
Nice. Midna's pretty cool. I like the personality of Midna.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mid is great. I mean, not controversial to say. She's the best
Partner
assistant.
character.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna throw in a character here. Listen. Another great series was introduced during this time. Animal Crossing, and I love my Animal Crossing. Now, when I thought about it, I was like, who do I want to add from Animal Crossing? And I went with Tom Nook. I didn't go Villager. I thought about it, but honestly, I thought, I think Tom Nook would be better instead of Villager. I'm not gonna say I dislike what they did with Villager. It's fine, but like if I want to be like fighting people, I was like Tom Nook would have been way more fun and funny in my opinion. So I thought Tom Nook would be really, really great, especially because like I just imagine him in my head just like hitting people in the head with bags of bells, and I love it.
There was a lot of discussion around the Brawl era about whether Tom Nook would be the Animal Crossing character or not.
Yeah.
It's a popular pick. It's easily a route they could have gone instead. I'm sure. So cool.
There's a debate a lot of times between like, okay, here's an established character, or here's the player avatar character. What do you do? Sometimes they go one way, sometimes it's the other. Hard to say what is more satisfying. It kind of depends game to game.
Like I get it with I mean, you guys might bring up Villager, but that's fine. I get what they did. It's like, but the one thing that I don't like is like, oh, the Villager's always random. It's like, well, I kind of want my Villager. If I was to do it, something like that. Whereas Tom Nook is everyone's.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
That's the problem with a lot of creative characters. Even things like the Fire Emblem series, where you have Robin, Corrin, and Byleth. Actually, not really Byleth. Robin and Corrin, where their appearances can be customized to a degree, but they have an established character. So it's like, okay, we get them, but they don't look like my Robin.
Right.
That's not my Robin.
Yeah, and I think that hurts it a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. So for my next one, let's see. Who do I want to talk about next? You know what? We did kind of just bring up the series a little bit. They've only got 2 characters so far on our roster. But at this point in Reality's timeline, the series has started to... I don't think explode is the right word, but it started to gain more attention in the West. Now, in this alternate timeline, it most likely got attention in the West a little bit earlier. But let's go look at Fire Emblem a little bit. We are now up to, I believe, Path of Radiance is the most recent game. There's also Sacred Stones. There's Blazing and Binding Blade. Those were all... Actually, I guess Binding Blade was on the table for the last one. But there's 3 new Fire Emblem games that can be added in here. I decided to include a popular character that didn't make it into Smash proper, but a fan favorite. They were one of the 4 characters that won the Choose Your Legends poll when Fire Emblem Heroes first started up. Somebody that would fight a little bit differently than just a sword fighter. Lindis. She does have a sword, but she's also got a bow, and she uses her sword, not like a standard Marth. So she's different. Hear that, Sakurai? She's not Marth.
I mean, as long as it's a different, not a fighter for Fire Emblem, like...
Yeah.
It's real old.
Like, she does use her sword, but she's more of a, not quite samurai, but more samurai-esque in her style, along with using, again, a bow. So, different options for her.
Mm-hmm. There's been great, the models there in Brawl, as far back as the Brawl era, there's been great moveset hacks that the community's come up with that are great with her and exemplify how different she can be from the rest of the cast. So I would support that. It is kind of unfortunate that Brawl had such limited space on its roster ultimately to where some had to be cut, because I think there was room for Lynn and Ike. It didn't have to be an either or.
Agreed.
Likewise, there was maybe room for a Gen 3 Pokemon and Lucario. Like, Lucario is one of the most popular Pokemon of all time. I get it. Like, right out of the gate, but it is kind of weird that, we could have had Blaziken or somebody, and that didn't happen.
Every time a generation of Pokemon gets skipped in Smash, I get a little disappointed. And then every time the only thing we get from Generation Smash is a starter, I'm just like, really? There were 100 plus other Pokemon. We just, well, 99 for Gen 2. All we did was a starter? Really?
Yeah, the Pokemon Company is probably, I mean, we don't have confirmation, but I think it's easy to speculate they're probably the most meddlesome company that Sakurai has to work with in the first party scape.
Yeah, in the second party escape, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Followed by Nintendo strong arming him to throw in another Fire Emblem character.
God damn it.
The Bioth reveal. Where he's like, oh, well, I didn't want to do this, but, you know, they said to. And I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is why this roster game is fun. There's
Yes.
it's an opportunity to, it's one of the many reasons why it's an opportunity to revise areas of it. Okay. All that being said, I will not reveal a Fire Emblem character, at least not yet. But how about one from another RPG? Speaking of characters that missed the boat on the playable side of things so far, but have appeared as assist trophies here and there. Isaac from Golden Sun. The series is arguably at its height right now with the second game. I'm forgetting the title of it at this moment. Sorry.
Lost Age or Dark? I think Lost Age is the second game.
I think so. Then Dark Dawn on the DS is kind of the like tepid third one. It's a pretty interesting, fun RPG from that Camelot era where they were really knocking it out of the park for Nintendo on all cylinders with the Mario sports games too. And again, it's just the height of the series. I feel like if Isaac were to get in at a point that it wasn't because of like fan fervor where they're like, oh, he's a retro pick now, we have to throw him in, you know, like a K-Rool situation ish. It would be this generation. So I wanted to toss him a bone and talk about him before his time kind of passed for a while.
All right.
I'm gonna throw in another one. So I kind of was saying with the Animal Crossing how I liked how you could, customize, or I didn't like with Villager how you couldn't customize it and make it your own. Well, then I figured, well, why not have a character that you can customize and make your own? So I'm adding in the Miis, and just specifically, not like me Gunner, me Brawler, or me the other one. It is. I kind of like the idea of them being their own thing, and they all have the same ability. I mean, I get the Gunner and Brawler and other one, but it's just, I think it would have been. I would have done it a little differently, personally. But it's, obviously I don't make games, so.
Fair. I mean, the Mii was a common character to speculate about during this point in history. A lot of people thought that the Miis could be added in. Primarily, I think they were having people pull from the Wii Sports game, like give them a sports type moveset with that.
Yeah, and Wii Sports, like I mean, obviously everyone who had a Wii, pretty much, you knew these characters, you had made one, so you have a connection to them. And then the fact that you could, oh my god, I'm in a game, is, I think, a great way to keep keep people interested.
Yeah,
I loved the Wii era from like a commercial marketing standpoint, so much more than hot button topic, but for me more than any other Nintendo era, because they were so forward with me character creation. You said you had at least one. I think I had like hundreds, and I traded them with my friends, and I put them on the find whatever the me channel that you can share me's on. It was like, it was cool, it was fun.
Yeah.
And it's a fresh idea. Yeah, as Zantok said, this is bringing up a lot of old memories, because this is around the time that he and I first started on that Mercurius forum together. This era of Smash, and speculated a lot about this, partook in like game FAQs and whatever. So yeah, the Miis were discussed at the time. No one could have ever imagined they would come out as Gunner Fighter and a Brawler and Sword Fighter, rather. We all just kind of assumed that they were Wayofftrail, as you're saying, like a singular Mii.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Or yeah, maybe they are hitting with a tennis racket and then they're hitting with a golf club. those are their kind of moves, based on Wii Sports. But
Yeah.
Medicine Ball, Wii Fit. I don't know if Wii Fit came out yet. I don't think so.
be some similar moves, I feel like, to Wii Fit Trainer. But yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's totally valid. It'll be an interesting one to discuss. Especially with we try not to have future vision with the series, but especially knowing they went a different route. But I mean, there's so many different ways to take it, and they won't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and break ground here. We've all revealed 3 characters so far. I'm going to go ahead and do my first third-party character at this point. This character, a big point that we have tried to make when making our rosters is trying to get in the headspace of Nintendo and gaming at the time. And for many years, for a long time, Nintendo and another company, well, let's just say they were not inviting each other to family barbecues or anything of that sort. But now, things are a little bit friendlier with them. They're talking more. Their games are interacting. We've had some crossover, and naturally, we all know who I'm talking about here. Sonic the fucking Hedgehog.
Hedgehog.
The biggest rival Nintendo has ever had, both as a company and to their flagship character, Mario. Sonic getting into Brawl in reality was a game changer. And we're still in that timeline where, hey, Sega, they're not being dicks anymore. They're not saying we do what Nintendo don't, which is, fail to stay afloat in the console industry. But now, Sonic can fight Mario in Smash. Holy shit.
Yeah.
They can smash each other. Oh, wait. Hold
Well,
on.
They've been doing that for years prior.
That's true.
the internet is scary.
Yep. That's true.
I wasn't gonna do this one next, but after again, just this the flow of conversation. Speaking of characters who ride each other,
What?
there is.
Oh no.
This is a third party pick. Who, yes, in Street Fighter Cross Tekken rides Mokujin, but he doesn't here. It's one of the daddy of video games, frankly, Pac-Man.
Granddaddy, really.
Yeah, granddaddy. Eat the
Granddaddy Packy.
Packy
Yeah.
wacky. Hoi hoi.
Now, there you go.
All right. So I was thinking of saving all my third parties to the end.
Okay.
So I think I'm still gonna do that because when I go to announce them, I'm gonna say that I may have messed up. But anyway,
What? I guess we'll get that one.
just after you two announced those two, I'm like, oh right, there were options.
There's a
Didn't forget
reason
they
when you
existed.
sent the list, I'm just like, all right.
I may have forgot those two existed, and yep, whoops. But anyway, I still like my choices.
Hey,
But anyway,
that's totally valid.
let's throw. We need some actual like Mario game characters. I have a few on my list, so I think I'm gonna introduce one of them. Let's add a villain. We haven't really had any villains pop up yet. I'm gonna go with King Boo.
I was trying to predict who you're gonna go.
Yeah, I
for.
saw you switching around. I was like, ha, you're gonna pick around.
Wait, where? Oh, shoot, they are out of order. There they are.
Oh, out of order? Snap. King Boo, one, because this is when Luigi Mansion's starting to take off a little bit, I think. And I think Boo could be a kind of fun character. Especially because I feel like he can do some, like, some interesting dodge moves and, like, how you fade in and out type deal. And I just really like the Boos in the Mario games. So I think they'd be kind of cool to have in the Smash.
Yeah, you're right. Luigi's Mansion was a bigger hit than we could have imagined at the time. I thought it was a whole lot of fun. I loved the first game. The second game was like, whatever. It was good, but I mean, they're consistently some of the best selling games on the systems they present on, and it's all like so low key, like no one really talks about it.
Yeah, it was one of those games like you just kind of like, oh, you know, I'll pick this up, and you're like, oh, this is actually pretty good, and then you realize everyone else kind of did the same thing, but no one ever really mentions that they played it, you know,
But
until you're like in a group of people like, oh yeah, I played Luigi's Mansion, everyone else like, oh yeah, I did too.
yeah, and King Boo or EGAD would both be good choices. I would lean a little towards King Boo myself. We did a King Boo episode in the last season of Super Cast Brothers, and so Zantok and I can indeed confirm through our mind's eye as well that the character works.
We also did a Tom Nook episode in the last season too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm good.
So far, your list is characters that we've made episodes of and are canon to Smash, technically, with the me. Canon and a half. Half canon?
Canon and a
Quarters
half.
canon?
Ganondorf.
Canon corn. What? I don't know.
Now someone should make some fan art of Ganondorf, but it's a cannon instead of Ganon.
It's like a like a pirate ship cannon, but then it has like Gandorf's long hair from Hyrule Warriors and like the little crown piece he has on him. Just like has his clothes draped over it.
Yes.
Ganondorf. Cursed. Absolutely cursed. Speaking of things that are cursed, no, I'm not going there. That game doesn't exist yet. Thank God.
Huh.
Instead, it's funny you did King Boo because I was actually thinking of doing a Mario character next on my list. And I'm going to go with a character that has not made it into Smash yet. And I think it's a goddamn shame. I think this character should have... The fact that they are not in Smash at this point in reality, it's like, what the hell? This character is amazing. They're a top choice. Where the fuck are you, Paper Mario?
The
But they already have Mario. But he's made of paper now.
I mean, listen, if we could have 3 fucking links.
That's okay, fair point.
Gold Peach down the road.
No!
Cat Peach.
I've also realized I am unintentionally doing a pattern with my reveals. It's not intentional.
I would notice with mine, it was like Olimar, and then I just was picking random ones on my list, and they kept popping in order, and I was like, okay, I don't know why this is happening.
You have made a penis, sir.
Goals. The thing is, ladies and gents, I don't know what order they're going to appear on his screen for you guys, so I just have on my list, but he says he reordered them, so...
I order them based on their franchise, a mix of what order characters got added in through our roster in previous episodes, and then what is in Smash canon, what is not. So like, and then Olimar and Tom Nook, they are new franchises to this canon timeline, but they are in Smash canon. So, well, I guess me as well. So, if there's anything else that was like a new character from a new franchise on your list, they would go below Olimar, Tom Nook, and the me. Meanwhile, any Mario characters will always take the top slots. Followed by, I think, Zelda would always be the second one. Or maybe it's Donkey Kong. One of the two.
Spoilers for my list, I guess.
Maybe. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Oh boy! Video watchers, holy shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jonno, you're up next.
I am up next, and speaking of characters that are cursed, as we had mentioned a couple times in this rotation, it is from the Star Fox franchise, our good old pal Crystal.
She's not going to fight like Fox and Wolf, right?
No, please God, no.
No. Like she does as an assist trophy in Smash, she will fight with her staff. Star Fox Adventures was not the most well-received game, but the character herself was kind of a cultural icon of gaming at the time for reasons.
What do you mean?
I have no idea.
You could say some people had an awakening.
I did rage quit that game. That's one of the few games I've rage quit.
Ooh, and you are famous for saying you don't like to leave games unfinished.
That is very true. I couldn't get past a part of it when I was a kid, and it made me so mad.
Okay, we now need to get Nintendo to re-release Star Fox Adventures on the Switch, and then I will buy Wayofftrail the capture card, and he can play Star Fox Adventures on stream.
God. I remember, like, because you had the little dinosaur, Tricky?
Tricky.
Tricky, yeah, he would follow you around. I thought about adding him to the list. I was like, I don't think he's that well known. I was like,
If you
yeah,
had put
there was a
a
better
giant
option.
fucking Triceratops, sorry, a Triceratops on your list, I would have smacked you like, no, no.
Now, maybe Crystal can summon him somehow,
That's true. It
but
could be the final smash.
yeah.
Final Smash could appear in all the taunts, like Joker's taunts.
Could be an assist trophy.
Looking
Yeah.
good, Crystal. Tricky could say, or
In the dinosaur language.
yeah. Oh, he speaks English.
Oh God.
He's pretty annoying.
I remember him being annoying.
What is it
Didn't
with
help-
partner
didn't help
characters in
the rage
Nintendo
quitting.
games being annoying little shits?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Star Fox Adventures was not the most well received critically game, but one thing that it did do and continued with Assault, less successfully so with Command. Nintendo did have a streak where they were actually expanding the Star Fox lexicon and prominently featuring this character as well as others. So it felt like she was important to the era as like a time box character in this little period of time of maybe like 7 or 8 years where Nintendo actually attempted to bring Star Fox past the Lilat Wars instead of constantly rehashing it. So kudos to them for that, at least.
Yeah, she kind of
Yeah.
disappeared, I feel like, from, like, games after
did.
that little span.
Because they released Star Fox 64 3D, which I think might have been before Command, and obviously she wouldn't be in that. But then they released Star Fox Zero, which is a retelling of Star Fox 64 again, which is really a retelling of Star Fox. Fire Emblem has a problem where half the Smash characters are Marth. Star Fox has a problem where half of its games are the same story.
Hmm.
Like, we don't need to see Fox fight Andros again. For fuck's sake, if you want to show me Andros again, show me James McCloud fighting Andros.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of cursed characters,
Oh, buddy.
I mean, you both did it. You both said it, so I figured. I mean, I'd say it too. But this one actually is cursed. Like, he found a mask and decided to wear it, and it was like, actually cursed. I'm going to be adding Skull Kid from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask to my list. One of my favorite overall character designs of a character, especially in this time frame. I just really like the mask itself just looks beautiful.
It
And
does.
I think he could have, if he was ever introduced into Smash, I think he could have some really fun movesets, and he could I can imagine just like in my head a really cool, like beautiful final Smash.
Definitely.
Moonfall.
Mm-hmm.
He's a character who, the magic that has been bestowed upon him by being possessed by Majora. Speaking of, there's a Final Smash, or the Moon is an obvious one as well.
Right.
Would make for a really interesting moveset. It's not a character that you see, like Skull Kid himself does not fight very often in Majora's Mask, which makes it a more interesting moveset to create. You can kind of have future vision and pull from Hyrule Warriors as well. But yeah, it's a good choice. It's a really solid choice.
Yeah, he'd be fun.
There's a lot of great Zelda characters that have been ignored for Smash in favor of
Yeah,
another
Zelda
Link.
Zelda has some really unique characters. Yeah, and they do kind of feel like wasted by picking Link, Young Link, Toon Link. It's like, okay, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Forever, it seemed like maybe Donkey Kong was getting the shaft for but now we have King K. Rool. Now it's Zelda that is the most prominently like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And I mean, so much so that we had a whole episode talking about just that.
Yep. If the next Smash game, bar minimum needs to include at least one new Zelda character, preferably something that's not a Triforce Wheel. But if they do have a Triforce Wheel, there are two options. Like, okay, this is acceptable. Not any more Links, for fuck's sake. But I would really love to see, depending on how many characters they add for the next game as a newcomers, I want to see at least 2 in the next Smash.
Oh, me too.
And at least one of them does need to be a non-Triforce wielder. Holy shit.
Has to.
That would not have been not some okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna move on from that. Alright, so next up. Last episode, Jonno.
Oh, Raru. Like, whoops.
That would be an even weirder choice than Hestu.
Yeah.
But okay. I mean, really? From Rauru, the random sage from Ocarina of Time? What are you on about?
Sure. Okay. No, Cape Porege Boro would be my pick from.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Great deck entry. So last episode, there was a debate between a couple characters, and I didn't get my way. I like retro characters. They're fun. They're characters that, they're not active anymore. So there's really no reason to add them other than just like, oh, hey, here's an old character. Wouldn't it be funny if they were in, even though in their game they had like no animations pretty much? So yeah, I'm adding a fucking retro character. And it may surprise you. But know that I'm adding in R.O.B. Yep, not the character from the last episode that I was upset about. It's R.O.B, actually, the robotic operating buddy. And you can tell from the way the graphics slide out. Balloon Fighter did not make my list this time around. I wanted to, but there just wasn't. With 7 more years worth of characters and games, the justification wasn't there for me this time around. Maybe later, but R.O.B is one of the most important characters things in Nintendo's history. R.O.B, more than anything else, saved the video games industry, and that's all I have to say for now.
Yeah, what a turnaround in the last episode, huh? It shocked the hell out of me.
I wanted to. He was on my short list, but I was still like, there's not enough slots. There's too many other important characters.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Balloon Fighter's necessarily in the character graveyard yet. I think there's
Not
a
yet.
few. Like Fighter Hayabusa is not coming back, for instance, unless I feel really zesty when we get to the final episode.
We don't have any grappling characters yet.
That's true. Maybe I'll eat my words, but Balloon Fighter, I think, definitely has a shot in future episodes. Yeah, you mentioned R.O.B. Speaking of a character who's had robbed chances, at least during the Brawl era, because they made it into Smash 4. It's Bowser Jr. Figured it's about time to reveal one of my Mario or Mario adjacent characters. Bowser Jr. is one of my picks because it's fresh to the era. It was a character that was very talked about at the time, along with a gaggle of others. I mean, this was a really fresh era for Mario for speculation. There was Bowser Jr., Paper Mario, Waluigi, others.
Rosalina.
Eventually, yes, Rosalina. She kind of missed the deadline here, but a couple years later, yes. King Boo, Egad, they're kind of like tangential, adjacent. Like, there was a lot of characters to talk about, and there still is, but it was especially like, oh, all these characters are pretty high profile. Bowser Jr. is my pick, though, because he's a fresh villain pick. He's from a mainline Mario game, Super Mario Sunshine, which is the most recent. So we're definitely in this era where we're getting Delfino Plaza as a stage. So why not have him complement it with Paintbrush? With Paintbrush coming in earlier, I will say, with Paintbrush.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool with the Paintbrush.
That's something I'm going to be looking up when we get to the discussion board. It's like, okay, what games has Bowser Jr. been in by this point in time? Like, obviously, Sunshine, but have we seen him in the Koopa Clown car at all yet? That's something to figure out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was in New Super Mario Bros., so depending on that. I don't remember.
I don't know. That's why I said I'm going to look that up when we get to the discussion.
Okay.
All right, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
So, Jonno, you added a little guy and Zantok, you added a robot, so I'm going to add a little robot also. I'm going with a game that was kind of just a one-off, but it was fantastic. I'm adding Chibi-Robo to the list.
Sweet.
I think this particular game is very underrated and was way more fun than it should have been. I really liked the premise of the game, and it was just kind of like, it was very different from anything at the time. I just don't feel like it got enough love, but I think for Smash they could have, been like, maybe brought this character some more love, and popped him in to maybe get more people to go check out that game. / your true diehard fans are gonna be like, oh my god, it's Chibi-Robo.
I would love the alternate timeline where Chibi-Robo was given a boost from Smash and continued on, because the franchise did continue a fair amount. There was a DS title, a 3DS title.
5 games, surprisingly enough.
What? Man,
Yeah.
you really don't hear about them.
Not all of them released outside of Japan, and at this point in the timeline, there was only the one. But the most recent game was in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, I've been out of the loop.
The bad one.
Yeah.
No, okay, well.
Yeah, so they could have done more with the character. They still can. It's just definitely like a C or D list for Nintendo. I don't expect them to, but the original game was so good and so charming that I would have loved this timeline more.
I would have loved him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We talked about this series. We even mentioned this character. It's an obvious choice. There are few Pokemon more popular. There is no Gen 4 Pokemon more popular than I almost clicked the wrong character. There is no the Lucario. It's the dog. He does the Aura Sphere.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to argue it. That's why he was in Brawl canonically.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a good choice of character.
Mm-hmm. It kind of is. It's one of those ones. It's just not a whole lot more left to say. It's like, yeah, he's there. He's there. Someone else who may project their own version of Aura Sphere in a way, but out of their arm cannon, is a very talked about and hyped character at the time as well, bringing us another villainous representative from Metroid, Dark Samus. Oh yeah. And I'm glad they made it into Smash and with Ultimate, although I, like many a folk kind of put off that they went from a very unique assist trophy in 4 to, just carbon copy echo of Samus in Ultimate. And in some ways it was a step forward and a step back.
Yeah.
So this is definitely bringing out, you could have just translated the assist trophies moves into, there was so much there, you could have translated those into the moveset.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here.
Of all the echoes in Ultimate, that's the one I'm the most are you fucking kidding me? Seriously?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Boo to being an echo, but I could have seen Dark Samus being really cool, having a really cool moveset otherwise.
Yeah. I don't hate echoes. I think there are benefits to them, but Dark Samus is the most wasted as an echo of anybody in Ultimate.
No. And the most nonsensical.
Yeah.
What? Mm-hmm.
All right, my turn. So I seem to keep forming patterns, which is fun. I think I might ruin it here, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't know. Unless there's that one spot to the left of Olimar is this character. All right, I'm gonna add in a Pokemon. I think it's time. I've only got one on my list, just one Pokemon.
Sunday. Nice.
And I didn't choose either of the two that Zantok picked. I chose Senior Blaziken. Oh, look at that. I'm so good. I'm so good at patterns. It's now a little penis. Anyway, so...
Oh my god.
Blaziken, I love this line, Torchic and Blaziken and Combusken. I love this line, and I was, I guess, I get Lucario being in, but I'm like, Blaziken would have been such a cool choice, and I'm glad to see that it didn't eventually get into name that game,
Pokken
the fighting
Tournament.
Pokemon. Thank you. Got into it, and I was like, yes, this character just makes so much sense for Smash.
I both love and hate that game's roster. Like, Blaziken, amazing choice. Why is there 2 Pikachus?
Right.
Just wait
Why?
until it happens in Smash.
No!
Yeah. Why are there 3 links?
I already did, but yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, so I like Blaziken here. I think Blaziken could be a lot of fun. Especially when you got the fighting and then the fire aspects as well.
And I mean, there's such an excellent choice to be a clone fighter of Captain Falcon, right?
I mean, you could. Blaze kick,
Please
Falcon
no.
kick.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
Fire
yeah.
Punch, Falcon Punch.
Right. You know.
There's ways to make them unique.
Oh,
Yeah.
easily. It's just fun to point out. It's like, theoretically, they could.
Yeah. Seeing how the roster's divvying out now makes me very interested about those middle slots on Zantok's screen.
You're
I'm
the one
also
that's missing the middle, but
Let's say I'm interested to see Jonno's one right above Pac-Man, just to make a pattern with his. Zantok kind of lost his pattern.
yeah, I did, and I'm very glad about that. All right, so you both got a Zelda character on your list. You know, we got Midna, we got Skull Kid. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you know
give another option here. We've got a very popular character from Twilight Princess. We've got a very popular character from Majora's Mask. Let me give you a very popular character from Wind Waker. And there's only one choice, unless you're Jonno, in which case he says the option is Beetle or Lineback. I'm just like,
Well, if he's correct, but yeah.
what? No. The character is clearly Tetra. It's clearly Tetra. We don't have Sheik, so that means we have room for our Zelda adjacent Tetra. She's a pirate. Fuck yeah.
We can't. Yeah, I mean, you can't argue them. You can't argue either of these 3 characters. But we're ultimately we'll probably.
We will, but yeah.
Oh, we'll argue.
Yeah, but again, all solid picks, and just once again contributing to like why haven't we seen any of them in Smash proper yet?
Right.
Mhm.
I do love Wind Waker though.
I want
as
all
a
3 of
game.
these characters in Smash.
Me too. Yeah,
That's
Wind
cool.
Waker is great. I really hope that in this probably last year of Switch's life, we finally get Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD ported over like people have been saying forever would happen. Anywho.
Come on, John. A lot of pressure. The one above Pac-Man. Here you go.
You want the one above Pac-Man?
Well, do you know? You don't know what it is, do you?
Oh, I do. Oh, I know who they are.
Oh, dang it! I see. I'm the only one who doesn't know.
Yep, he knows.
Dang it! Never mind. Do what you will.
Wait, what? Oh, do I know my Wait, what's happening? Do I know what?
Wayofftrail doesn't know anybody else's characters, and he doesn't know what the picture is, even though I sent it to him. He's just dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know any of the characters either. But any hoodle. I'll give you a character above Pac-Man. I'll give you a character 2 spaces above Pac-Man.
No, you monster.
Breaking the pattern for a moment. It is. We brought you Wario from Wario Land. Now here's someone from WarioWare, Mona. There's a number of WarioWare characters. I think that the series again they're really taking off at this time. There's a couple GBA games, a DS game, a GameCube game. It's becoming an evergreen franchise quickly in its young life at this point in this era. And there's a number of characters you can choose. There's Mona, Jimmy T, 9-Volt, Ashley. Some of whom, you may argue, have kind of like the Isabelle effect at the time. Like Ashley was very, very popular and still is. but going with Mona because she feels like the staple number 2 to Wario. There from the very beginning. Some of the first micro games you've ever played in the series, if you start from the top, they're always from Mona. So she's a very recognizable character. Another great female option coming in, and kind of like, this is not a reason why I chose her, but kind of ironically can take some Wario's moves from Brawl proper off of his shoulders. Probably not the fart, which
She can
she'll
take
have.
the bike though, because she has a scooter.
Yeah, precisely it. Yes, yeah. So
And
that's yeah.
you were mentioning the other WarioWare characters. I believe, if I remember correctly, at this point in time, Mona was the most talked about WarioWare character for Smash. It wasn't until the Smash 4 days where Ashley became the number one.
And thinking about it from that historical lens, it's like, oh, was that because we had Ashley's song in Smash and she became like more popular in the community through that?
Possibly. Also, people just like young girl witches.
It was the emo era too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a part of that.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
Well, I think I'm going to give us a duplicate. We haven't really had any since our original duplicate. And my duplicate's going to be with Jonno here. I'm going with Mr. Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr., again, also, I agree. I really want to see him with the paintbrush. Super Mario Sunshine was a game that was... How to say this in the best possible way?
Super Mario Sunshane was a game, period.
It was a game.
It was one of the games of all time.
It was a game that, you know, like, it kind of it did its own thing. And they could have maybe tried to show it some more love and kind of maybe make people think a little bit more about it by maybe adding him in now instead of later. So I do think he should have been added in now.
yeah, Super Mario Sunshine was extremely flawed, like surprisingly so for a Nintendo game, especially a Mario game. But it definitely, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, like had a Mario game in the traditional style, like 64, come out before or was announced during Sunshine's release, it probably wouldn't have been as flailed by the fans at the time.
Right. I didn't hate the game. I didn't mind it. It just was a lot different.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it for what it was. With the like, I think Delfino Plaza is like the best hub for Mario, at least in my opinion. I was really pleased with it as a stage in Smash. And Bowser Jr. is pretty cool. So, nice.
Yeah, he's a cool looking character too. I like his like style, especially with the paintbrush, the bandana, and stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and take a little trip down to third-party land here for a bit. As we can tell from the graphic, I only have 2 more third parties on my list after Sonic. I did not go with the full 5. Jonno didn't either. At most, he'll have only 4 on his list. Actually, no. No, you also have only 3, according to the graphic, at most. Might only be 2. Don't know yet. But for me, both of my other 2 are kind of representing areas that haven't been represented yet. Not necessarily company-wise, although I guess one has been represented company-wise. This character, though, that I'm going to discuss first is very much a personal pick for me. I love them. I love their games. They're a lot of fun, even if sometimes I gotta be in the right mood to play them, because it's Phoenix, right? The Ace Attorney games are amazing. Fuck you. Listen, some cases are not great. I'm sorry, but Dual Destinies, the Yokai case, was not fun. That was one of my least favorite cases of all.
All the same, Phoenix may as well be a Nintendo character at this point.
So, I may have thought he would. When I was making my list, I may have thought he was and was told I couldn't do that.
I mean, you could have kept him over a different third-party character.
Yeah, I didn't.
You gave me too many. It's like,
Yep, I was in trouble, so I deleted him from my list. Was like, "Oops, sorry," and then just did not put him back on. I also don't know that series super well, so I was like, I guess I can't defend it. So,
Fair.
and I just removed him.
I
I'm-
love these games. It's visual novel, mystery solving, case cracking. Fuck yeah.
What developer is he again?
Capcom.
Capcom. That's right.
Capcom, who has the stiffest competition of any third-party company of amazing characters.
Their well of franchises is crazy. Like it almost rivals Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Phoenix, I mean, he's a great choice. I think the kind of perennial argument against him has just always been there's so many characters to choose from that are like shoulder to shoulder with him in terms of like popularity and reach. Like one of them will make it in over the other each installment. But I always love the pick. I like there's nothing to say bad about Phoenix Wright. Really.
My dream for Ultimate DLC was that Sakurai was going to be like, all right, and that's it. This is our last character. There'll be no more characters coming to Ultimate, and then cut to the objection screen. Surprise announcement for Phoenix Wright. Like, that was the dream.
That
like,
would be a cool way to announce him.
It's like, he's the perfect final character to reveal because of that reason.
Him or the aviary attorney? Surely.
No. Look, Aviary Attorney is a fun game, but no, Phoenix Wright, come on.
They're both named after birds. All right. So, yeah, speaking of duplicate characters, I'm going to duplicate our old pal Zantok here with one of my choices, and that choice is Lucario. Again, it's, with fanfare, the Pope, he's massively popular. It's just kind of unavoidable. Gen 4 is coming in like a truck, and so is he. With the movie and everything else, it's why it happened. It's why it happened in Brawl Life.
Well, I was thinking also about duping one of Zantok's characters here because I just duped you, so I'm like, all right, I'll dupe one of Zantok's. I gotta dupe Mr. Paper Mario up there.
Sweet.
I may have given him a little crap, but I also knew he was on my list because I think he would be a interesting version of Mario, and I think you could do a lot different of a move set with him. Still, it wouldn't be an Echo.
No, he would definitely not be an Echo. That hammer is being featured prominently.
Right, which is why I kind of shied away from Dr. Mario because how he kind of just became. I mean, he pretty much is an Echo. Slight differences, but
their list in this game.
What?
Sorry, I just had to slide that.
No, I don't think he heard you.
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Oh, I said who would put Dr. Mario on the list at any point during the...
God, that person would suck.
Hi, I nominated Dr. Mario for the last episode because we don't have anything representing a puzzle game yet. And my last slot was between him and Roy. It's like, maybe not
okay.
Roy.
I see your
Let's
point
do
there.
Dr. Mario.
Yeah. Well, I'm going Paper Mario. I think I haven't played the game, but I feel like you could do some fun stuff with him.
You definitely can. You definitely can.
Hey, they're remaking the GameCube game for the Switch. You should absolutely buy it and play it. I swear it's amazing.
Maybe I'll think about it.
One of the very, very, very best and most influential games of my entire life. That and the first game, and of Super Paper Mario. Definitely not anything that came after.
The first game is also on Nintendo Switch Online, so there's that.
Easy peasy if you have NSO and it's with the subscription.
Yeah. €1,000 is better, but they're both great.
Yeah, both some of the best RPGs like around, I think. Yeah, there's and with RPG territory, of course, there's a number of special moves involving partner characters and different badges that can influence the moveset. There's Thousand Year Door introduced origami stuff on the overworld. There's definitely a lot you can do with Paper Mario, so it's a good choice. Woohoo! Now
I try.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I know you Try.
I tried, but don't worry, I failed. After seeing some of your guys' picks, I'm like, oh yeah, that was.
No. I mean, if you have anything that's radically
Listen, your list is not the worst list we've been given.
different.
Don't talk about Jonno that way. He's right here.
I know, but I like to. All right.
Discussion.
So, speaking of RPG characters,
Mm-hmm.
I've got another one. Obviously, this character did not exist in time for the previous game, but they are from a series that is you could call it a cult classic. You could absolutely call this series a cult classic. Their game in particular didn't make it stateside. Maybe in this alternate reality, it may have. Fans to this day still clamor for it. They beg. They wish. They scream. They get threatened by the Fiesemex laser eyes for it. It's so obviously Lucas from Mother 3. Otherwise known as Earthbound 2, or I guess it probably would be called Earthbound 2, which is really weird to call it that when we've been calling it Mother 3 for all these years. Like, feels weird. But, yeah, Lucas, he can be made different than Ness in this timeline. That's my argument.
That would be, that'd be a better choice.
Yeah.
Earthbound 2, A Tale of Two Brothers.
Yeah, that's accurate. Also, a tale of a pig man.
Hell yeah. Pigman, in fact.
Pigman?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I think Pikmin may actually be... There's guest characters in that game.
I mean, I don't think Pikmin is in Earthbound.
There's something. Probably just like a Mario block or something. So Zantok with his roster so far has inadvertently made the Facebook logo.
Ah, bitch.
Just gonna look at that.
I need to delete this now. The podcast is over. We're done.
Finally. It only took Mark Zuckerberg to do it. That tracks, actually. That makes
It
sense.
only took me to appear on the show.
This is your third time on the show.
Okay, fair point.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yes. And now, revealing the character over Pac-Man to Wayofftrail's.
We got a pattern back. Let's go.
Yeah, it's two eyes now. It's a duplicate. Again, it's another character that I share with Zantok, and it's R.O.B. Yeah, I mean, he's a classic choice, and it was really cool to see him in not only Smash at this time, but also Mario Kart DS, which was just weird and uncanny and cool.
Oh, right, he was in Mario Kart DS.
Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I think that's technically the first video game he appeared in, since, he's a toy. He was actually in the games associated with him. So I think DS was his first actual video game appearance.
Mm-hmm. But he also, I would imagine that for all the changes that have been made because we started Smash on the NES in this timeline, the Subspace Emissary would still persist with the same general storyline in Brawl.
Well,
R.O.B.
only if we include R.O.B.
Only if we include R.O.B, because
it's
he is
all Chibi-Robos.
Oh my god! I don't hate that.
I kind of love it.
But I had to at least give a nod to the Ancient Minister.
Yeah.
So here he is. Could have done Taboo. Too bad.
Balls.
Could still be there.
Well, I got another duplicate character. This time not with Zantok. This one is with you, Jonno. I may have also liked this character. It's Crystal popping in. Like I said, I did end up rage quitting Star Fox Adventures, but I still thought she was a cool character. In fact, I liked all of her stuff. I was like, oh, she's like pretty unique, and yeah, she could do some pretty cool things, like we saw with when she was in Assist Trophy, like with the staff and stuff. So I think she would be a really fun character to add in, and yes, not a dupe of Fox.
I really wish Star Fox Adventures had given us more time to play as Crystal with the staff, and then just give Fox the staff 10 minutes into the game and be like, alright, here's your characters, it's Fox. It's like, but I wanted to play the other one.
Yeah, and we would have if it stayed Dinosaur Planet.
But to be
Right.
fair, if it stayed Dinosaur Planet, we would not be talking about Crystal.
No, yeah, it's true.
Dinosaur Planet probably would have been a flop.
Mm-hmm.
Although, who knows? Maybe if they didn't have the Nintendo forcing to add Star Fox in it, they might have had more time to develop the game in other ways. So I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been a hit. Who knows?
Could have been. All right. So this is gonna be a little odd, in a few ways for my next character. This might be a head scratcher, but I'm just gonna go for it. Yeah, I think you're gonna be like, what? I am adding in Marshtomp.
You're right. That's a head scratcher.
Yep, the middle stage of the Mudkip Marshtomp Swampert line for Hoenn's water type starter. That's all I'd say for now.
I feel there may be something cooking. Individually, it's such a okay, like okay, but
Not my favorite design of a Pokemon, but all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you like Mudkips. So, speaking of Hoenn, and forming a perfect H for Hoenn on the roster this turnaround, it's Grovyle.
I was really hoping you would reveal your bottom character so it could be FU. Well, I guess it's not an F anymore, but it would have been FU. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Now it's like, what is? I don't know what Wayofftrail's.
I was forming. Oh, it's almost just an O at this point.
It could have been a C. We could have had FUC.
Dang.
If only we thought of that.
It could have been a K either. It's like, damn.
Yeah. Kind of still can be a K. If you
Yeah,
bottom.
but I don't know my order, so it'll be a thing.
Oh,
Considering you said that you're saving your third parties for last.
it would be one of your third parties.
Ish.
Perhaps. But yeah, Grovyle. I don't have more than one Hoenn Star character, as you can see here, but I feel like individually, it's a strong choice. Like Trico would be good. Sceptile maybe a little much with the design. So I went with Grovyle, who is fairly lithe and could do much of the same that either of the others could do. And he's just a cool looking guy. And as Wayofftrail said, not a lot of grass starters. No grass starter, actually, what am I saying, in Smash, which is like crazy.
Ivysaur.
Yeah. Oh, not enough. Not enough. Not enough
There we
grass
go.
starter.
We have a fully evolved. We have 2 fully evolved fires, 1 fully evolved water, no fully evolved grass. Like, bitch.
Yeah, we
To
have
be
the
fair,
perfect
I don't really
opportunity.
count Charizard strictly because he's part of a Pokemon trainer. But if we get another fire or water in the next one, it's like, bitch.
Imagine getting another fire.
I'll be mad. Unless it's like an amazing Pokemon. It's like, oh my god, you were the best darling ever in the world. No, stop it.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I still am mad about Incineroar. I still, like, I see him on the roster, and I'm like, what?
Could have been Decidueye. Could have been Decidueye.
Decidueye would have been great.
Seriously. And just look at the thing. Like, what the hell is that?
Like, I don't deny Incineroar has merit, but could have been Decidueye.
Over Decidueye, like, never in any dimension, ever. But yeah.
All right.
Wrestler, too. Anyway.
I think it's time for some of my my third parties here.
Oh, you're breaking away.
Yeah, I'm leaving one up there for last. Why not? All right. So when it comes to third parties, I may not fully know of like who hated who at the time. I just kind of picked characters I thought would be fun and cool to join into Smash, regardless of if the companies hated each other at the time.
Valid.
So
I feel like you're leading to something.
So yeah, my bad. So I think, who do I want to go with first here? I'm going to go with a character that I think you could do some interesting things with, And I think would bring a huge fan base with it. I'm gonna go with I
Ooh,
from
okay.
Super Monkey
Whoa.
Ball. I also
Okay.
really ruined my pattern apparently.
Yeah, you jumped.
Yep, dang it. Yeah, I'm going I think that
What
Jesus.
the-
like you could do some things like even if like obviously you probably don't want him staying in the ball the whole time. Maybe the ball opens up like into wings. That could be his like jump up move and
Oh
stuff.
shit.
Yeah, like and you could do some stuff like that. I think would be kind of cool. Like the ball kind of opens a little bit. Um, but I think it could be some fun. Plus, a lot of people liked Super Monkey Ball, and I could imagine in my head a really fun stage if Super Monkey Ball was added.
I don't hate it. I love Monkey Ball. Like I haven't played a lot of it, but I love the concept of it. I know that during the GameCube era, especially, it was super well received and beloved. Yeah, off kilter pick, but I don't hate it, and it's gonna be interesting to discuss. I like I.
Aye, aye,
Sorry,
Captain.
I was like, dang it, Zantok, you took my joke.
Eat shit, fucker.
I already did.
I. Okay.
No. Oh, all right.
All right. So, I think I just need to go ahead and reveal this character next. There's just come on. It's not a surprise. Blaziken. And
Hey,
you know
you
what?
duped
Hey,
me.
look. They're all part of the Pokemon trainer for this one. I'm bringing in the Pokemon trainer mechanic. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't nix one or two of these characters when we get to the discussion, but I'm specifically bringing up these three as a Pokemon trainer mechanic, like Brawl had with Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard. And I'll say briefly why I picked these three. Of the fully evolved forms, Blaziken is the obvious choice. Like, come the
Obviously.
fuck on. Torchic wouldn't really work for the starter form, and Combuskin looks like a dick. It does.
That's fair. Yeah.
And then between Trico, Grovyle, Mudkip, Marshtomp. Honestly, I like both Trico and Grovyle more than Mudkip and Marshtomp. So it's like, well, I can't have two of them being grass because that doesn't fucking work. But I went with Trico partially because I didn't want to do the same typings that Smash Cannon did with how Water type was the unevolved form and Grass kept the middle stage, but also just because, listen, I watched the anime. Trico's cool, guys. He's just cool. I like him. He's a fun guy.
I have to admit, like, this is where I kind of fell off with watching the anime consistently. I don't know why. What did Trico do in the anime? That was interesting.
He was one of Ash's Pokemon,
Wasn't
obviously.
he snooty?
I would, granted, it's been years. I would not call him snooty. I would say he was kind of had a bit more a loner archetype. I think in a way, he had like that little twig that he had between his teeth that he would use. And if I remember correctly, part of his thing was like he was like trying to fight to kind of like save his home, kind of a deal, or maybe mixing some things up. But he never evolved like many of Ash's starter Pokemon. Uh, so anime wise, it was always just Trico. And I think that was I don't think Ash had Mudkip or Torchic because I know May had Torchic and I don't know if anybody had Mudkip. Maybe Max did, but I don't. But Max wasn't really a trainer. He was just a tag along. Maybe Brock had Mudkip.
That tracks. Really interesting idea. I don't hate the idea of having a Holland Pokemon trainer at all. Especially, one can argue that Gen 1 is overrepresented in
Yeah.
Smash.
Argue it? Yeah.
Like I understand why Smash Brawl gave us the Gen 1 starters. Like the logic makes sense to me. But at the same time, this is new Smash canon. I would like to spread out the Pokemon representation better than having what is it, 6 Gen 1 Pokemon? Come on, guys. Gen 3 got robbed Granted, there's a lot of great Gen 1 Pokemon that could be in Smash, but share the love.
Controversial statement. Gen 3 is when the actual Pokemon mainline games got good.
Gen 3 was a soft reboot that mixed up the battle format, so yes.
Yes.
And then Gen 4 mixed up again, and then it's kind of, outside of gimmicks, it's kind of stayed the same. Well, I guess fairy type. But outside of that, in gimmicks, nothing has really changed in a while.
Mm-hmm. One of the most beloved generations, and my personal favorite, which I think, you know, a lot of it is it's what I grew up with. It was my first Pokemon game, but still really good games that should have something in Smash. At one point or another, even now. All right, so my turn again. Let's keep on filling out this H. Maybe we can turn it into another letter in the meantime with this next choice. If you just kind of squint a little, it may become an M. A decorated war hero whose contributions have made his world a better place. A leader in a squad of mercenaries.
No! Wayofftrail doesn't even know that reference. Stop it!
A true staple of the Fire Emblem franchise.
Thank you.
It makes me feel better. I don't know Fire Emblem much either, so.
It's better than what he was gonna do.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mike does. Yes, you do. Don't just talk about your Fire Emblem character.
Yes, I do think that there's a. I do think there. I do think there's a world where Lynn and Ike could have coexisted in Brawl proper. For my money here, I'm still bringing Ike himself to the table. For many reasons outside of personal bias, he is from the get-go monstrously popular Fire Emblem lore, who has eschewed from the Marthisms of it all, despite being a sword fighter. This gives us the opportunity to, he doesn't necessarily need to have a counter, for instance, to differentiate him further. He's a solid pick. I think, in some ways, Ike and Lynn, because she is among the most popular characters as well, and I think has been the most popular woman character in Fire Emblem for a good long while at least. Kind of like Lucario to Fire Emblem at this point. So there he is.
Ike and Lynn were two of the. I believe they were 1 and 2 for the very first Choose Your Legends poll in Fire Emblem Heroes. It was either Lynn as a number one female character or it was Lucina. I don't remember which. But also at this point in time, Lucina doesn't exist yet.
There's a point in Awakening's timeline where she didn't exist yet either.
Technically true.
But you know who does exist in this timeline?
Boney the dog.
Another one of my third-party characters.
Oh!
So, like, characters, I literally mean characters. Like, it's a duo. Again, I think they'd just be cool. Like, not necessarily that they cooperate, or, that the developers would cooperate, but Ratchet and Clank, I think, could be rather fun to see them show up and do some craziness in the Smash world.
They were big at this point for Sony.
Yeah, they were also a huge, huge name. People knew who they were. I think I've only played one of their games, though, and I don't remember it very well. But I do remember Clank was way cooler.
Well, he probably would not. He would not be the main fighter, I would imagine.
But
But
no,
he'd probably,
no.
He'd have some involvement.
Oh, yeah. I like Clank. Ratchet, eh. But,
Wow.
I mean, he's a cute little robot. What do you expect?
Not much.
Wow, okay. Neat.
Alright. So how the layout is presented, it's very obvious that I have another Mario character on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might as well go ahead and reveal them. This is a character that, I love this character a lot. I want them in Smash. They're not in. It's like Paper Mario, it's like, give it to me. Come on. Give. Give. You see, Waluigi give.
Ah, there he is. Shocker.
He was our first Smashtopia episode character. He had a very special episode dedicated to him in this season. And I like him a lot.
Jonno, how surprised are you by this?
Very.
I know, like blown away.
Okay.
I do love Waluigi. I this is around the time that I started really stumping for him to be in Smash as well, and we got him as an assist trophy, and I think the first assist trophy ever revealed, and it was like, okay,
Samurai Goro, bitch.
oh, that's right, that's so weird.
Because we
And
were all confused, like, what? He's a
Yeah.
fighter? Like, wait, what?
Whereas Goro's time may have passed for now, Waluigi would still be an excellent pick. That should have freaking happened by now. Good lord. I think the most surprising thing about Waluigi though is that he isn't on my list. Not because I don't think he's warranted, but because I knew so well that he would be here that I just wanted to discuss another character.
Everyone's here, except Waluigi.
And funnily enough, this character's on all three of our lists because it's Paper Mario. Another character you can't go wrong with from the Mario world.
True.
Yeah, I think we said a lot about Paper Mario.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna add. Oh, you know what? It was so fun adding 2 characters last time. I'm gonna add 2 more characters. I have another pair that I think would be kind of fun to see in Super Smash and would bring huge hype. Jak and Daxter.
Whoa.
You know, it's funny. We talked about them in a previous episode. Putting them against each other was like, which one of these duos would be out of the Smash?
Yeah, they would be. I mean, I don't know as much about this particular duo. I never really played either of these games very much, Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank. But I do, like, they are known names. Like, people are like, oh, Jak and Daxter. Like, oh, yeah, I know who that is. You know, like, even though I've never played their games.
Yeah.
And I think they would be cool for Smash.
Around this time, Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter were pretty neck and neck as far as like the most beloved. Like,
Yeah, they were very similar. I know people got it mixed up quite a bit.
they were, and then Jak and Daxter got weird and kind of died later on.
Yeah, but we're not at that point in the timeline yet, now are we?
Nope.
Good. All right. We got 3 characters left for all of our lists. This is the longest it has taken to reveal all of our characters. This episode's going to be long.
We just like talking with our friends.
Right.
We're also all veterans of doing this again and again and again, like recording things.
Yes.
All right.
My next character is on somebody else's list. I think this franchise could have potentially. I think there's room for possibly 2 characters to be added from this franchise.
Oh, not Chibi-Robo.
Not Chibi-Robo, I'm sorry. I mean, that should be very obvious from the layout. If you're a video
that
watcher.
and 2 characters. I don't think you're adding another.
Is there another character from Chibi-Robo?
I don't
Chibi-Robo?
think so.
I mean,
can't think of
there's the
anything.
little flying TV thing,
Oh, yeah, maybe.
but I think that'd be a use in a move, maybe, or a taunt. But anyways, who I'm actually talking about fights for their friends with a Ike.
Okay.
We like Ike. We like Ike.
Mike and Ike's.
I sure. Oh God. Yeah, suck on those. Chew on them, I guess.
They're good.
They're not good.
I kind of wish I had some now.
I do enjoy those.
Better than sunflower seeds.
Likes.
Okay. Hold your horses.
God. Yeah, so my next choice was one that Mike deliberately veered from. So we're gonna have a interesting discussion on our hands because it is Villager from the Animal Crossing series. Nothing against Tom Nook at all. I love me some good mischief from our Tanuki friend. This is just where my mind went when making the list, so we'll talk about it when we get there.
All right.
Look at the monster eyes.
There's
Truly.
truly
there's
real
no
killer
soul.
energy here.
Yeah, there's no soul behind those eyes. All right. Speaking of no soul, that has nothing to do with my next character.
Now I try to think like, who's your character would have no
Yeah,
soul?
has
Like,
nothing
wait,
to do with my
who
next
would that
character.
be?
Another character. Again, I never really played many of their games. I don't think I played any of their games. But another big name that would be kind of fun to see would be Sly Cooper.
A whole trio of Sony characters.
Yeah. I was looking down the list and I was like, I know I kind of want a lot of third party, but that's because I think like if you go third party, you can tie in some new people. Now, I may not have known when I made my list that Sony and Nintendo were not besties. I was informed of the fact and was like, nah, I like them, so I left them in.
To be fair, Sony and Nintendo are still not besties, but it's an odd relationship between the two of them. Nobody would have ever predicted Nintendo would get friendly with Microsoft before they got friendly with Sony.
Sony
Right.
kind of isn't friends with anybody.
Especially considering Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo in the past, and they recently, within the past year, revealed like, oh yeah, we still want to buy them. We think we should own Nintendo. It's like, yeah, good fucking luck, guys. That's never happening.
If they can't even get Activision without a fight from the Monopoly board.
Oh man, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sly Cooper, I could see him having some fun moves. Kind of some sneaker moves, maybe kind of some like Solid Snake stuff. Kind of that type of vibe.
Sly Cooper is one of my favorite Sony branded characters of all. I don't know between him and Spyro. That one breaks my heart to think about. So I'm not going to do that. But Sly Cooper is one of my favorite Sony characters.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean they're all great characters from great franchises. At the very least, you can't argue that.
Yeah. All right, we got another duplicate on our hands here. Again, this franchise, I think it could get two characters.
Chibi, no.
No, no. It is instead fan favorite partner character, Midna.
Oh, nice. She's there.
She is.
There she be.
Twilight Princess was great. She's a lot of fun. Have her fight on a wolf. There you go. We have our quadruped character.
And you get another Lincoln, so
This is true. But a better way than Toon Link and Young Link were.
Right.
I mean, if Young Link just used the masks, come on.
And Toon Link has so much at his disposal too that could have been used, but they just decided not to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll toss you this bone next because I feel like I shouldn't end on something that's on somebody else's list as well. So I'm going to give you Sonic now. I feel like it's been a long time coming, but there he is. Speeds right on through. He's a little slow to the punch this time, but he's here.
But he's got to go fast.
Yeah, he'll go fast next time.
Go with this.
All right. Well, I'm gonna add my last third-party character then. This particular character has a great series of games. People love him. Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
You know what?
And who would ever think he'd actually be in Smash?
Oh
wait.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Yeah. This is the height of, arguably the height of his popularity with Cage 2 just releasing. It's
That too. Like he is, and during this time is super popular.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts, like this was the franchise, especially now, but especially back then, like late 2000s, early 2010s, that so many people that I knew who were not gamers. Like, they
Yeah.
didn't play fucking anything besides Kingdom Hearts. Played Kingdom Hearts. They knew what it was. They were obsessed with the game. I was like, okay.
Yep. I mean, he's a cool design character too.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you could do so much with him. I mean, we saw what they did with him, but like you could do like at this point a lot of stuff with him. Even like you could do some cool like
Honestly,
outfits and stuff.
honestly, I feel like Smash Ultimate undersold what you can do with Sora.
Of course, because they really just pulled from the first game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The arguments there. I mean, we started Smash at such an earlier point that we can understand it's probably a much bigger franchise than it is in our world at this point, with 5 games now out, including this one. This could be a possibility at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Our last character on each of our list, and then it's debate time. So I got another third party here. And before I reveal them, I kind of want to like go over what third parties we've already added into our Smash roster here. We got Summon Belmont, who is a platformer from a horror series. Not Resident Evil horror, but you can call it horror. We got Mega Man X, platformer, futuristic robots. We got Bomberman, arguably puzzle multiplayer game kind of a deal. I don't know how best to describe him. Solid
Arcade.
Snake. Yeah. Solid Snake, third party stealth shooter. Or not third party, third person shooter is what I meant to say. Third person shooter, stealth. Ryu, fighting games. The fighting game. Banjo-Kazooie, 3D platformer. You know something we don't have yet? RPGs. Specifically, JRPGs. And so I offer up my final character. Where is he? There he is. Lloyd Irving of Tales of Symphonia.
Your favorite from the franchise.
Nope. But he makes a lot of sense here.
I mean, the Tales, I mean, the gameplay in that series is almost like an arena-based Smash.
It's like if a fighting game had RPG mechanics. That's kind of what the combat is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, people still talk about Lloyd. Sakurai's talked about Lloyd as a possibility.
Yep.
So it's there. And Symphonia, the evergreen argument has been that Tales of Symphonia was so beloved, and it was a GameCube game, so there's that Nintendo connection that, in some fans' minds, to this day, still sets them above, like Yuri, for instance.
Yeah.
So, good final choice. Of course, I'm ending on a third party as well with my final little nub at the bottom of our roster here. Speaking of fighting for our friends, this company is a very good friend of Nintendo from the West, from France. And their perennial character, as hard as they did try to make it be their bunny minions, is Rayman. And he is here on the roster today. On my roster, anyway.
From the creators of Ezio Auditore.
Yes. Yes. Who just barely missed the deadline for this.
Yeah. Rip a dip.
Otherwise, I mean, it could have been a possibility.
What about Altair?
Oh, God. No.
I hope they go back one day and do that justice, but they won't.
No. Too late.
Mm-hmm. What about Desmond?
He'd be all right.
What about Hatham? We could flight it out with Ivor.
Yeah, there you go. I mean...
You mean Eivor?
Yeah.
Whichever.
That wouldn't be terrible.
I love Eivor.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, and I think with that, everyone's here.
Wow, you've been sitting on that one for a while, haven't you?
Oh, wait. I was sorry. I was pulling a Nintendo. Everyone's here except Waluigi.
Dick.
There he is.
You dick.
Wow, wow.
I waited.
After roasting Zantok. Like,
Oh yeah, 100%. I waited. But seriously though, you've got Mario, you've got Luigi, you got Wario. You're missing one.
Yeah.
mhm.
Like, come on.
I
He
can't say at this point in the timeline Waluigi just have stiffer competition than he does in 2023, but God, he should at least be on the table.
Totally.
All right, all the characters are here. It is time to start discussing things. We got a lot to go through, and we've already been here for a while. Good God. Jesus fuck. So let's see here. How are we going to approach this? Jonno, I got a question for you. Oh, yes?
I'll say I'm not sure how we do this, but can I suggest one character and see if we all like, yeah, that character should be in Smash?
Okay. I was gonna
Just get one
I was gonna,
out of the way.
I was gonna give me a moment. I was gonna ask John a question, but instead I'm gonna ask the same question to you then, and we're gonna kick things off this way. So, Wayofftrail, let me ask you this: all the characters on your list, who do you think is the most important to be included on the actual roster?
Oh.
Because it sounds like you have a pick.
Well, actually, I don't know if the most important that just changed. I guess I'd probably say Olimar.
Olimar.
I was kind of thinking we all kind of backed him. He's on all three of our lists, and he's huge for his series and Nintendo in general.
Yeah. That's who I assume that's probably who you were talking about, and I agree.
Yeah.
Of all the characters that are on here today, I think Olimar is the most obvious. This character needs to be here. We need to have Olimar on the roster. It's just like, come on. Like, there are some other real good choices here, but they all pale in comparison to Olimar.
Right. I think he's like the clear victor out of everyone here.
Yes, easily. Jonno has had to step away for a couple minutes, but I'm pretty sure he's going to. Oh no, he's back. So Jonno, what are your thoughts on Olimar being fast tracked right away?
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah, I thought so.
Mm-hmm. Like doesn't even have to warrant any further discussion. He's easily. I mean,
and we've seen what they've done with him, and he's just a great. It's a great series of games too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a thought here. I have a question here.
Yes.
Why am I getting the check mark and you guys getting the X's?
We just put it on only when characters that appear multiple times. We only put the check mark on one of the instances of the character. That way, when we do like quick map it and just trying to count check marks, I don't have to be like, okay, there's 3 Olimar, so subtract 2 check marks.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Was just curious.
Yep.
So he was kind of like, I was just gonna see like, hey, we all had him, and we all like seemed pretty positive with him.
Yeah.
So I thought I would offer that one up right out of the gate.
Oh, I agree. It makes sense.
Totally.
All right. I'll now pivot the same question to Jonno. Jonno, of all the characters on your list, who do you think is the most important inclusion that this roster needs to have?
Oh, buddy. Sonic.
Sonic. Okay.
Yeah. Controversial pick now. Yeah, at this point, I mean, we've included so many third party characters along the way thus far, but Sonic has been Nintendo's greatest rival up until this point. Very recently, Sega broke away from the Dreamcast and decided to start publishing the titles on other platforms, becoming a third party. This was so huge. We got a 30-second sizzle reel that wasn't even all that great, revealing Sonic like ingloriously on the Smash Dojo, just like out of nowhere. But it was so tremendous. This is how you make waves in this era of Smash. I think more than anything potentially. Even perhaps more so than some of our other choices on the map.
to be fair to Brawl and Sonic's sizzle reel trailer, uh, no other character got their own dedicated character reveal trailer in Brawl. There was the Brawl reveal that introduced factors, but Brawl we didn't get like character reveal trailers until Smash 4.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think probably him if we're yeah.
I am in agreement. I think Sonic, of all the third party options on the table, period, both ones we've talked about, we've already mentioned here, and anybody that didn't get mentioned that we could have discussed, Sonic to me is the biggest third party to add at this point in the timeline. It's like the ultimate, we cool now. The rivalry is done. We're friends.
Right.
Sonic and Mario can now like they're already in the Olympics together, and now they can fight against each other in Smash. It's the first. I guess you could say Snake was the first, but it's like the first outside of like a game reveal moment, where it's just purely character reveal, and it's just like, oh my god, the Smash fan base just went nuts at this reveal. We broke things. But
I would agree. I forgot about a couple characters, Sonic being one of them, as not being eligible for the list this time. And I was like, after you guys said it, I was like, oh yeah, that should have been on my list. So I do agree. I would have put him on my list if I would have realized.
I won't ask what third party you would have replaced him with because theoretically that could subconsciously knock him out of discussion. But yes, I think Sonic needs to be here.
Yeah. Everyone's here.
Except Waluigi.
Except Waluigi.
Imagine if Waluigi doesn't make it and we're just like, oh shit, we did it.
I mean, it's very likely. I mean,
it is possible. I mean, I did say, like, even though he's on my list, I think he has some tough competition to get out at this point. In 2023, what the fuck? It's time. But in 2006, he's got competition, and it's good competition.
And in 2006, we're not going to go burning down buildings if he doesn't make it in.
Well, you might not. All right, I posed the question to the two of you. Now I got to pose the question to myself. Hey, Zantok, of all the characters on your list, who do you think is the most important to include on this Smash Brothers Brawl roster? And oh gosh, Zantok, that's such a tough question. There's so many good characters that I really want on here. How could I ever? It's Lucario. It's Lucario. I mean, granted, Sonic and Olimar, I would have said before Lucario, but the both of you took them, so I didn't have to. But Lucario, as we mentioned, is at this point in time, and even still now, one of the most popular Pokemon in existence. At this point in time, there are 493 Pokemon. Lucario was top 5, top 3, top 2? I don't know if he's number 1. It's the battle between him and Charizard. And that's, to this day, a battle between him, Charizard, and Greninja. But he's top 5 bar minimum. I think he's above that. I think you're a fool not to include Lucario on this roster.
Since
okay.
he's not on Mike's, what does Mike think?
Well, funny enough, Lucario is not anywhere near any of my favorite Pokemon on the list. I kind of forgot how popular he is, or was at the time, but I understand his popularity. He just wasn't one of my favorites.
That's fair.
But I do think, yes, he does make a good Smash character, and he makes a lot of sense, especially if you're trying to get your Pokemon fans to play Smash. It makes sense to include him. So I agree.
With his standard and his Final Smash, I mean, no wonder they gravitated towards him. He's just Pokemon Goku.
Kinda, yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yep.
He literally uses spirit energy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Spirit Bomb.
So yeah, I'm of course fine with fast tracking Lucario.
All right. Wow, look at that. We've already got 3 characters on the roster.
Let's just keep repeating this. We'll be out in no time.
Yeah. All right, let's open up the floor now. I just wanted to mix things up a little bit, start things off differently than we have in previous episodes.
Can I start something?
Sure.
Maybe a little different if you guys have never done it. Because I don't know.
Go for it. What do you got to say?
I'm gonna ask Zantok. You got last this round. I'll ask you first. Is there a character on any of the lists that you just say, I'm not a huge fan of this character being on any of the lists?
Now, when you say not a huge fan, are we talking?
As in, you don't think that they're the weakest character out of all three of the options,
Okay,
so we can maybe eliminate them.
Okay, I think there are a few weaker, and I think we all have some weaker options. But if I was to pick the one character that I think is the weakest,
it's okay. I understand. You can pick something, Jonno.
Okay, let me. Nintendo, third party, or combined?
It's combined. It's whatever you believe there, bud.
Okay, then I'm gonna say I. Here's why.
Here's why.
I and Sonic are both from Sega. We've already got one Sega.
Fair.
What do you think about that particular choice, Jonno?
And I also feel like I and Sonic could have some similarities with the moves. Like Sonic has the spin dash. I is in the ball spin.
Sorry. Okay, I think the logic is fair, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree. It's difficult to think on who the worst is because there's I think our list on the overall we're presenting strong character options, fairly flush across the board. If it's not a strong character on its own, it's a strong concept. It's a unique pitch, and sometimes the most out there option really has made it and far into consideration or even been included on the roster.
Fuck you.
Okay. Ace and Flint don't be in Hikari, yes. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd necessarily fast track striking down anyone at this point, but yeah, that's me.
Interesting, because I would think like maybe like Sony would want to have like a couple characters to kind of more solidify an alliance and make the connection more there. With II, especially because II is he's also pretty beloved. With that, do I understand if he would get nixed? I do, but
I think part of the problem's that just like him and Sonic would have the same like iconic move. They spin, they hit something.
Fair. But what they wouldn't do like characters that have the same attack. That's crazy.
I mean, yes, but new timeline we don't have 3 links. We don't have 4 morphs.
3 space animals or whatever.
Yeah, we only have 2 space animals currently, and we are headcanoning that they fight different. We have not detailed that, but they fight different.
Okay, but can Sonic extend his wings out and fly with his ball?
Not at this point in the timeline.
So at least there's that. So who are you thinking? I mean, to pose your own question to you, Wayofftrail, what were you thinking about the weakest link?
It is a very tough question. I mean, there's a couple of characters I don't know super well. Mm-hmm. That kind of like I want to say them just because I don't know them. Like the one I can't even remember the name of the one on Zantok to the right of Sonic. I don't remember his name.
That is Lloyd Irving, a dual sword wielder. He's got like some projectile moves and.
Yeah, he's JRPG though.
Yeah, he's JRPG. You know how Soul Soul Calibur?
Yeah.
Kind of imagine Soul Calibur combat in a way, but less. I don't want to say the word clunky. A little bit more flowy and with RPG mechanics.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would depend on like if they're trying to target an American audience, or not American, but a worldwide audience instead of a purely Japan, because then that character would limit, um, it would take a space from a character who might be more connected to others.
I mean, what I'll say to that is Tales of Symphonia was one of the best-selling games of all time on the GameCube.
Or in the world, or like just in Japan.
Worldwide.
Oh, okay.
It was loved, not just Japan. It was popular on the States too.
Okay. Like again, I just don't know that character super well.
Yeah, fair,
So.
absolutely.
I mean, if I had to twist my arm, on like, I maybe one of the Sony characters, because I can't imagine 3 would make it in.
I would say, like, I after hearing, like, oh, Sony was hate, they didn't get along here. I understand if all 3 of them would get an X here.
Like, I feel like there's potential for one of them because again, this is a new timeline. Maybe with Smash being a longer existing product, maybe Sony and Nintendo could come to some kind of agreement. But I definitely do not think all 3. Which one would be the best of them? I mean, I kind of have a thought, but I think it's variable.
I think it's variable too. I do think that the weakest at this point, we may discuss it further, maybe Sly, even though I would personally pick Sly.
Yeah, Sly is my personal love out of the 3 of them. But of
That's
those
funny
3
because I was
games,
thinking the weakest was for me was Jack and Daxter.
And between the 2 of them, I mean, since we're just out there saying this kind of stuff, Ratchet and Clank, I think, is probably, from an outward perception, just getting into this discussion, the most well-rounded choice of them, just because I think they're a little bit above Jack and Daxter at this point in terms of iconicity and
Right, I agree.
like when I had everybody's list, like I foresaw this being an argument because I mean, come on, it's going to be. And I looked up a little bit about each three franchises, and they were all well received. But when I looked at sales from the PS2, one of these 3 series did a lot better than the others, and Ratchet and Clank overall sold a hell of a lot better than both Jack and Daxter and Sly Cooper. That's not necessarily end all be all.
Right.
I think it is an important distinction. Like again, Sly Cooper is my personal pick. I love Sly Cooper. Those games are so fun. I think it'd be so cool to have like a sneaky character. Granted, technically we have Snake, but he's more sneaky explosions. This is a sneaky thief. But Jack and Daxter, they also had that a little bit of a duo partner with them, which is unique to Smash technically. And in the last game we added Donbei and Nakari, who have a duo thing, but they're more ice climbers-esque. These 2 characters would not be ice climbers. They'd be more like, here's 2 characters that work kind of like a Banjo-Kazooie. They would be a Banjo-Kazooie.
I would be okay with Xing Jack and Daxter for of the 3 right away. I do think I feel like Sly Cooper or Ratchet and Clank would be a better choice. If I had to pick, purely I do like Sly Cooper. Like I like his. I think you could do a lot with him. But I think if Sony was to be like, okay, you're getting this one, we want you to pick our most popular one, I think they would go Ratchet Clank.
Yeah.
So I'd be okay Xing the other 2.
I do think Jack and Daxter would have been my first X of them, because while they sold better than Sly Cooper, they also have a lot more similarities with Ratchet and Clank. And of the 2 of them, I think Ratchet and Clank edges it out. And then it's pretty much a debate between of these 2 characters that are more unique between themselves. Who would you add in between Ratchet and Sly?
Yeah, because I mean, Jack and Daxter is a cool series, but again, even at this point, they're kind of starting to dilute themselves in terms of theming, becoming a little less sure of itself as a franchise in the overall than Ratchet and Clank. And again, they have similar kits, guns and magic on Jack and Daxter side, and just a bunch of crazy futuristic sci-fi stuff on Ratchet and Clanks that I think kind of just makes them inherently more interesting than Jack and Daxter.
Yeah. And all three of these do have like their original trilogies have all released at this point in the timeline. So that is
can't believe
great
we're
to
really
have.
at this point where we're discussing Sony as a real possibility. But I mean, when Mike started bringing them up, it wasn't that like I was surprised at first, but it's like okay, I mean, we really are this far into the timeline now, where maybe it could be considered.
Yeah.
We're kind of world building as well as roster building. Like I remember just hating Jack Tretton, the North American CEO of Sony at the time, and just all of the shit he would spew about Nintendo constantly. They were really trying to rival like Sony and I mean Sega and Nintendo's rivalry in the '90s, but this felt like more volatile, more desperate. It was not a good look. But we are in a world where we can say potentially we moved away from that because this company is seeing dollar signs putting a character in Smash.
I will say that I don't have the confidence to include one of them onto the roster right now. But I'm not opposed to having the discussion, just like maybe dropping one and then saving the other two for later. And he's like, okay, revisiting when we have more picks made. Like, okay, do we think it's right to add an Sony character? And then we debate which of the two are remaining.
Yeah, I imagine that one of the three is going to end up making it towards the very end of discussions where we kind of save it and see if it can be included.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say only one of the three would make it.
Yep.
Like even to end discussions. And I would be okay with. I would vote Ratchet and Clank.
What do you
And
think?
I would X off the other two personally.
Are we confident enough at this point where we should just do that?
As much as I want to argue and root for my boy Sly Cooper, I do. Man, I think honestly he would be the most unique of the three, just moveset wise. But if we're getting a Sony character, it's definitely going to be like a high tier picking popular thing. Like if this was for Melee, if this was the GameCube game, it's Crash Bandicoot. It's Crash fucking Bandicoot. But at this point, while Crash is still around, his star has dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Jack and Ratchet stars have Sword. Slice is up there, but it's definitely not as high as them. I think of the three, Ratchet and Clank is the most likely, 100% for sure.
I mean, now that we're having the discussion already, I think he's the most likely by far. I really the other two in all realistic circumstance don't have a chance.
Maybe someday, Sly.
But
Maybe
not
someday
today.
PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale 2 will be made, and it'll actually be good.
I mean,
just figured,
technically speaking, in PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale, he's the only one of these three characters to be added into the game, and that game started development like a year after Brawl released. I'm just saying, Sly's a chance.
Yeah,
No, I'm sorry, I lied. All three of them are in the game.
Say a concession
I
is that Sony characters in Smash, and now they need to put Mario in PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale.
I just kind of figured like knock out a couple now, so we don't even have to think about them anymore.
No, that's
just
fair.
less on the screen type deal.
Yep.
I think that's fair, and I also kind of feel like that. Those are really the only few that we can really do that to at this point. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everything else. I mean, I still say II is a weak choice compared to Sonic, but I'm not going to hardline say we need to kill him yet.
It may happen, or it may surprise you. We'll see.
Sure.
Yep.
All right, where do we go from here?
All right, Jonno. How do we feeling? We've got a lot of Mario on the board. We got some Fire Emblem options. We got some Legend of Zelda options. We got some more Pokemon. Where do you think we should go next?
I'm gonna bring us to something a little smaller than all that, and say Animal Crossing. How do we feel about Villager and Tom Nook?
I would say one should take it. I don't think they would include two.
100%. We're not adding both.
Yeah, and I also wonder if it warrants space because Zantok has neither on his list.
So, how do I approach this? I don't have either on my list. I believe I did have Villager on my short list of options, and that was mainly just because Smash Cannon bias.
Mm-hmm.
I do see the logic between having Tom Nook over Villager. I see the logic between having Villager over Tom Nook. That's a very tough call. Honestly, I was surprised when Isabelle got in before Tom Nook for Smash 4. Or Smash Ultimate, rather. Animal Crossing did not have a character in Brawl. It got skipped over until Smash 4. Sakura's reasoning was he didn't really see a way at the time to imagine how an Animal Crossing character would fight. Obviously, he later changed his mind on it. He had the same comment about the Miis. He didn't know how the Miis would fight in Brawl, and he later changed his mind on that. I think there is room for an Animal Crossing character. I'm not 100% sold on having one. I know that's going to be sacrilegious to some people. Even between the two of them, it's hard to say which one of them it would be. Player character is player character. Tom Nook is more established, but you could argue that anything that Villager does in Smash, Tom Nook could do. Like, there's nothing in Smash that Villager does that is. I mean, technically, sure, Tom Nook doesn't like plant pitfalls or do anything with gyroids or whatever, but Smash logic be Smash logic. Anything Villager does in Smash, Tom Nook could feasibly do in Smash as well. Mm-hmm. There's no real thing there. I don't have them on my list partly because I felt like there were so many other characters, and I'm not a sim life game type of player, so Animal Crossing is not like a big personal thing for me. And also, looking at the timeline, only 2 Animal Crossing games, well, technically 3 Animal Crossing games exist at this point. The N64 game, which got ported to the GameCube, which is where the US first found out about Animal Crossing, and then Wild World on the DS, which nobody ever talks about Wild World. Nobody does. It's the least talked about Animal Crossing game outside of I guess you could say the N64 version started it all, but it's the least talked about Animal Crossing game. Nobody gives it any attention. City Folk also not very well spoken of.
Was trash.
Yeah, but it does have a stage representing it in Smash 4 with Town and City. Technically, Smash Folk represent any Animal Crossing game besides, I guess, New Horizons. Doesn't really make sense to rep that one.
I mean, my thought if between the two, because this is before they actually got introduced fully into Smash, would be maybe because I put it, but Tom Nook, just because also like like you said, there's only 1 or 2 games, and it is or 3 games, however many you said. They might want to do They might want to do the face of it, whereas sure, Villager, you play as a villager, but they're not the face of the game. But I mean, I like what they did with Villager. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like again, it's not a character that you're gonna be like, oh yeah, Tom Nook. That's like, oh, Villager.
Yeah.
I
think Tom Nook would generate more buzz than Villager would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is true. I actually, on the onset of our roster reveals, I agreed. I agreed before I said I could. Tom Nook at this point, I think this is why Isabelle was chosen. Isabelle became the face of the modern Animal Crossing franchise right out of the gate, was super massively popular. And that's why she got in over Tom ultimately for Ultimate.
Well, I mean, Isabelle's friends with the Doom guy, so
yeah, that's true. You don't want to piss him off,
right?
Gave him he actually gave her his letter into Smash,
right?
in Tom Nook at this point, I mean, he is the face of the franchise. You know, you play as Villager, but Tom Nook is the most present character in the franchise. So I wouldn't say fast pass Tom Nook yet, anyway. But I would say X out Villager. We're in our own timeline here, and I think that this is a place where we can be flexible and say we don't need to follow Smash Canon. Tom Nook and Villager are neck and neck. There's an argument that is about equal for both. So if we're all feeling Tom, that could be the argument. We're feeling Tom.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, I don't necessarily want to include either of them for sure, like with the green check mark yet. But of the two, if you're gonna twist my arm and make me pick one of these two characters, I'm gonna pick Tom Nook over Villager because he's just more interesting.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because he's a character, not an avatar. You know, you can lean in hard on the house building aspect, the bells aspect, furniture. There's stuff you can do with them that would be interesting and unique even to Villager and Smash World. So, yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
where we go next, boys?
We got a lot of Mario on the board. Let's look at this.
Okay.
I think we need to add in a Mario. We've done a lot of character killing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's actually add some now.
I was willing to kill off one of my Mario guys.
I think we should add first.
Me too.
Like I'd rather pick some people who are definitely going to be on, because at a certain point it's like, okay, we're killing these characters off, but like, what if there's room for them later? That said, is there room for 4 Marios? But so of these, we may disagree. But I think of all these Mario characters, the one that I would most want to see into Smash, the one that I think is like the higher tier choice, is Paper Mario. Yes, it's a Mario, but as has been mentioned, Paper Mario would fight very differently from Mario. They're not even going to be the same size of character. Paper Mario will be significantly shorter than Mario. I think he'd be about Olimar sized, honestly. Very different moveset, going with a lot with base off the hammer. He flips around kind of like Game & Watch does. Maybe the partners are involved in those attacks. The Paper Mario games are very popular. Like Paper Mario 64, very good game. A lot of people love it. Thousand Year Door, incredible. People loved that game. And granted, this part is going into the future a little bit. When the remake for Thousand Year Door was revealed in the Nintendo Direct, that was the most talked about thing I saw people discussing from that Direct. Nothing else got talked about more than Thousand Year Door remake.
Oh, totally.
And also, I think Super Paper Mario is in development by this point, so they know they're making more Paper Mario. I say Paper Mario is at minimum the first Mario character to add in. But what do you guys think?
What do you think, Mike?
I think I would put one ahead of him of my other Mario characters, but I do think he's still a great choice. I think I would put Bowser Jr. ahead of Paper Mario, just because I think of Super Mario Sunshine and that. But I do think Paper Mario would be very good. I'd be okay with Paper Mario being in.
This is the point where I need to look up and see what games Bowser Jr. has been in at this point. Not to strictly use as an argument for or against, but I need this knowledge.
Okay.
What do you think, Jonno?
Yeah, it's a tough sell between a couple of them on our list here, but shoot, it's a soft lean. There's a really very strong argument for both, and it's kind of difficult because Paper Mario is a sub franchise to the main Mario series, and so different. So that also makes him have his own lane. And he's very popular at the time. This is much like Sora and a few others. He's kind of at the height of his popularity here now. Bowser Jr. is a fresh face, while Luigi is beloved spin-off character. So I'm kind of stewing between all three of them.
Right. I like all three. The one thing that gets me for Paper Mario is it's a Mario. You know, like that's the one thing that's bringing them down for me.
I get that, but I think he's so different. Like the presentation is so wildly different.
Right. It's very, very different though.
Yeah.
I'm still okay with him. Like I said, I like him. It's just that's the one thing I have that brings him down a little bit below Bowser Jr. for me.
I hear you. I mean, and Bowser Jr. is.
I mean, if I was saying we could only add one Mario character, then I would absolutely hear that argument. But I definitely think there's room for at least two Mario characters.
Oh, 100%.
And with that regard, I don't think there's any issue with Paper Mario. And then if we had like Paper Mario and Dr. Mario and Mini Mario and what the fuck else, it'd be like, okay, listen. But I think Paper Mario and then a very strong chance of a second Mario character at minimum later on.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I mean, I agree. That there's room for at least two Mario characters, possibly three. I think 4 may be pushing it, but
I'll say I would say no to 4, but 3 I think is very likely, especially because Nintendo knows Mario is their biggest franchise, and sure, you might want to throw a few extra bones to Mario.
Yeah, we can start now. I'm fine with Paper Mario being the first one. I think he's either number 1 or number 2 on to all of our preference.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm gonna throw out a cross off King Boo.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't think he's necessarily. I would say King Boo is the weakest of the Mario characters on here. So, I mean, okay, yeah, I wanted to like throw him a bone, but no, he is the weakest.
He is by far the weakest, and then there's so many other, like, even not Mario characters that are, I just think, better. I'm willing to give up my pick there. Be like, I see some other better options.
Yeah, I mean, I think what King Boo's strength would be is, hey, here's a character that is a very atypical body shape, so some very unique animations are going to be going on here. He's not gonna walk on the ground. He's gonna be floating above it. And then also, we represent the Luigi's Mansion side of things with, outside of completely revamping Luigi's moveset or adding Professor Egad, like those are the only 3 options. It's King Boo, remixing Luigi, or Egad is the only way to represent those games.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion only becomes more popular from here. I mean, I would have been happy to entertain him, but yeah, I mean, it's difficult to select Mario characters at this point because there's so many good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose we may as well cut him now, but I do like him. I like the idea of playing as him, and I think his chances grow stronger over the next couple of games to talk about again. Yeah. Potential. Okay.
All right.
Up.
So where do we want to go next? I think we need to go through either Zelda or Fire Emblem next and throw something in here.
Okay.
Because we're definitely going to have at least one Zelda character, I feel like. And we definitely need to have at least one Fire Emblem character, in my opinion.
Okay. You want to roll a die and see where we're taking it?
Nope, I'm just going to say Zelda.
Okay, there you go. Zelda it is.
So we have 3 choices. We got Tetra, Midna, Skull Kid.
And I would love all 3, but we're not going to get all 3.
Could you potentially see 2?
I could potentially see 2. I mean, I have 2 on my list.
2.
Yeah.
Which ones, though, is extremely difficult.
These are 3 good choices.
Mm-hmm. It is. Zelda games they don't really die out, in terms of how the fans talk about them compared to other franchises. Possibly because they're so wildly different.
Skyward Sword.
Like Final Fantasy. Yeah, there's Skyward Sword. I mean, what
Skyward Sword, of the mainline console games, it's the black sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're there yet in the timeline, but
Yeah, but there's still space. I mean, Majora's Mask was still not that long ago. And there's also the Zelda's Collector's Edition. It came out. Sidebar, one of these days I'm going to buy a really nice replica of Majora's Mask and hang it on my door leading into my bedroom. Anyway, because it's so cool. Midna's the most recent option. Wind Waker, again, still isn't that far behind. And funnily enough, people on the message boards are turning around and saying at this point, oh, I would love for Young Link to look like Toon Link, like in our world. And it happened in Brawl. It was an easy choice, but people really came around to Wind Waker around this time after shitting on it for a few years because they were idiots.
yeah.
So there's merit for all three, truly, and it's part of me wants to say Midna fast track because she is the most recent option and she is still, as we know with Future Vision, a really beloved pick. But also that's unfair to the other characters. I don't want to say that out of bias, especially because I love all these choices. It's a difficult.
I do think of the three, I do like Midna and the Wolf together as an option here.
Yeah, that's true. It's a unique kind of style because you have Midna as the primary character, but a lot of the attacks would be carried out by Wolf Link, and that's like a bipedal character, which you don't get a lot of.
And that's a way they can get Link without saying it's Link.
It's true.
That's true.
What I'll say about these three characters? I have first of all, I have a thought on which one of these three I think is the weakest, but I don't want to say that yet because I kind of think you could make an argument either way.
Mm-hmm.
But of the three, the strongest pick, I believe, I do think it is Midna. For one reason, she's from the most recent Zelda game at this point in time. Skyward Sword is most likely in development by this point because when they finish the Zelda game, they start working on the next. Not that that mean much because nobody comes back in Skyward Sword, which is fairly usual. But most recent game, it had a simultaneous. Well, I don't think it technically wasn't simultaneous release on GameCube and Wii, but borderline was. She's going to be a very unique fighter compared to the rest of the cast, as she is going to be a quadruped fighter fighting on the wolf. Could be Wolf Link, or they could just do like a generic Shadow Wolf, which is what they eventually later did in Hyrule Warriors. But either way, it's Midna on a wolf. I don't think I'm gonna throw up our current roster at this point, but I don't think we have a quadruped fighter yet at all. Doing a quick scan through, and no, none of the characters that we have right now are a quadruped fighter, and that is something that is a huge boon in Midna's favor. Very popular, recent game, unique.
I say
Triple
fast
threat.
track Midna.
Our answer to Ivysaur.
I mean, yeah.
Yep. I realized I kept saying bipedal. I did mean quadruped, so thank you for saying the correct scientific term.
Some of us are smart, and some of us are from places where they don't make smart people. I almost said where you're from, but I was like, I don't remember if we really talked about where you're from, so I'm going to pivot away from that.
It's public information if you're going to say Tucson.
I was going to say Arizona.
Okay. Yeah, it's public information.
So, some people are understandably don't want to reveal where they live on the internet. So,
Yeah. But those are the smart people you're talking about.
Correct.
So, are we going to debate between the remaining Zelda characters, or?
I think we can table them till later when we can kind of see, like, okay, is there room for a second one at this point? Like, I would love to include a second one, but we might come up to a point where it's like, oh god, there's like 6 characters we really want, and we have 3 slots. Oh fuck, guys, let's figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
What is our for a third party? What is our things?
We can have a maximum of 5. We don't need to have 5, but it's a maximum. Right now, we only have Sonic.
Yeah, we only have 1. Is there like a minimum of third party or no?
Absolutely not. If we wanted to, we could include none of them.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Yeah. Traditionally, we tend to keep third-party discussion. we try to keep most third-party characters being approved until later, because then we can kind of debate them against like who remains Nintendo-wise. But sometimes there's like a third party who's like, okay, you're an obvious. This is a necessary inclusion, like Sonic was.
Right. All right, so I guess we go Fire Emblem then, huh?
I think so.
I will be no help in this conversation.
Fair. I think like Zelda, there is room for 2 Fire Emblem characters, but I think we should start with just including one of them, and we'll save the other for later discussion.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So I had both Lindis and Ike on my list. I have Ike partly because he's the most recent protagonist of the most recent Fire Emblem game. While he's a sword fighter, he's more of a he's using a very heavy. Well, I believe it's a broadsword or some sort that he's using. I think that's the term. A two-handed sword. He uses a big old fucking sword. So he's more of a heavy character as compared to Marth, who is much more light on his feet and fencer-esque. Lindis, on the other hand, I included her, one, female rep, two, her game, Blazing Blade, was the first Fire Emblem game to make it outside of Japan. Now, whether that is the truth in this new reality, and there's more Fire Emblem games that made it into outside Japan, I don't know, can't really judge that. But assuming not, this makes Lynn a very recognizable face for Fire Emblem fans in the West, since she was not only from the first Fire Emblem game to make it in the West, but she's also the first character that you get. You play as her for the first, third of the game, and then afterwards you get the choice between if you want to follow Eliwood's storyline or Hector's storyline. But if people didn't, people who picked up that game, they're going to know Lynn more than they're going to know any other character in that game.
Sure. And the games are also like only 2 years apart or 3 years apart as far as
really.
If I recall, at least in the West, because Path of Radiance was 2005, if I recall, so that doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room for Fire Emblem.
Let's
Blazing
see.
Blade.
Yeah, Blazing Blade was 2003. Path of Radiance was 2005. Wow, they released 4 Fire Emblem games, at one per year in a row.
And they were all really quality games. I mean,
yeah.
Binding Blade, if that's included, maybe a little less so, but Blazing, Sacred Stones, and Path of Radiance were all home runs.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Like one after the other. Very commonly referred to as like a golden age period for the series before it became a little too commercial. And here we are.
And waifu bait.
Yes, unfortunately, I still enjoy the gameplay a lot. There are times when the story starts to shine, like 3 houses, and then there are times where I'm like, certain things happen. I'm like, why am I playing this?
I like the gameplay of Engage. The story, it's got its moments, but beyond that,
Yeah. Agreed. Any. I don't know if you can hear the dog barking in the background, but that's the thing that is happening. Anyway, I mean, both characters are very, very strong choices. We could end up going for both, but I think one being fast tracked at this point would probably be for the best.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who you said you would fast track.
Sorry, I was trying to get him to like not do that. To no surprise, I would fast track Ike.
Of the two, I do think Ike is who I would fast track, pick over the other. I would love it if we have room for Lynn later down the line. I don't know if we will. But of them, I think Ike makes sense for the first, possibly only Fire Emblem character to be added at this point.
We like Ike.
That sounds like an approval.
I don't. Yeah. Fire Emblem's not my thing.
No, that's fair. I mean, we can't all.
I understand that it should definitely have representation. It's just not my game.
Yeah, it's not something you can speak to. That's
Right.
absolutely fair. I mean, I can't speak to a lot of things either. Like I can't really speak very well to. I mean, I've played some Animal Crossing, but it's not something that I can speak on super well. I can't speak on Star Fox Adventures. I can't speak on
Hmm.
Chibi-Robo. I can't speak on Golden Sun. Maybe someday.
Right. I also can't speak on Golden Sun. Don't know anything about it.
I want to play it at some point, but it's an RPG with a lot of puzzle mechanics. Actually, the Tales games are also very puzzly with their dungeons, but Golden Sun has some abilities that are strictly only for puzzles.
All right. What do we move on to next?
All right, so right now, doing a quick scan, we've got 6 characters out of 16. We got 10 slots left, boys.
Looking forward to the next few hours with you guys.
Right.
Ah!
So I was thinking, like, oh my god.
Yep.
Well, we could. I guess the only other series that has multiples would be Pokemon.
All right.
I had a thought. Not that it's going to help us here,
Okay.
but well, maybe. I do like the idea of, like Pokemon trainer having, you know, how the Squirtle, Ivysaur, Charizard, and then this time it being the Trico. I mean,
Oh, and
Marshtomp.
Yeah.
You know, like each time it changes, and it will never be the same. It'll always be from the newest gen. I like that idea because then you can include 3 new ones every time, and then you're not always having old ones thrown in there.
Here's what I'm going to say to that before we go to that line. With this project that we're doing, we are never cutting characters. So doing that would end up cutting characters, and then it also removes the possibility of, well, that means we can never discuss Greninja because we're just assuming, oh, it'll have Greninja in the new Pokemon trainer. Plus, there will be other points where more than one generation is new to Smash. Like Smash 4, the very next episode, Gen 5 and Gen 6 will both be on the table. And then for Ultimate, Gen 7 and Gen... Wait, no, just Gen 7 will be on the table for Ultimate. But for Smash 4, it'll be 2 gens. Like, okay, do you go 5 or 6?
I see.
But...
I see. But you see what I was saying? Like, I think that would have been cool if they would have done it that way.
Oh yeah, I see your argument.
Because then you can technically get more Pokemon representation without necessarily using up more slots type deal.
Yeah, but you are effectively creating a whole new character each time because Trico isn't going to play the same as say
True.
Snivy.
True.
Something I will say in regards to Pokemon is if, like, I understand if we don't necessarily want to commit to the full Pokemon trainer gimmick. I get that. I think we can, but I understand if we don't want to commit to that just yet. And if we wanted to pick like just one of these right now, and then see if the others get picked later on.
I mean, that's fair. I wonder if we'll discuss, the validity of taking up 3 slots for them ultimately a little later on, but I think the choice may be clear if we were going to only choose one, that it would be Blaziken.
I would agree.
Agreed.
Again, just speaking to the popularity of the character at the time, mostly. And we live in a world where Smash is not suffering from a deluge of fire starters, so we can do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It also knocks out Grovyle because that's...
Well, not necessarily, because we could end up saying do Mudkip and Grovyle instead of Trico and Marshtomp. That is a possibility.
We have to change the entire graphic of the roster.
I will just assume.
Okay. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I think Blaziken is the one to go with for now.
Yeah, right. I would, in my mind, like 2 Pokemon is enough added to the roster personally. Like I only put 1 in my list because I was like 1 is more, like 1 is enough. But I do see, I'm like, oh, that's right, Lucario. I forgot about Lucario. And then I was like in Blaziken, and I was like, I don't know if I would do more than that.
That's fair. Yeah.
I understand the position. My argument to that will be, we are adding more characters than Canonical Brawl added to the roster, while also having no cuts. So, fuck it.
Hmm.
Brawl, I don't remember how. I think Brawl added 15. I want to say we're adding 16, which isn't that much more. But we also have so many more characters that are already in, and we're not cutting shit.
Yeah, we'll see when we get there. I think that discussion is going to end up being like various first and second parties versus more Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just by looking at all three lists generally. I'm and how much we've almost got half our list done.
I mean, I know like 3 characters from the Nintendo characters that I would cut. Actually, no, I know 4 that I'll be willing to cut to keep the full Pokemon trainer.
We'll get to that argument when we get to
Yeah.
it.
All right, where do we go next?
Good question.
All right. So I don't like saying I think cut this character,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a couple characters that I think are weaker. That I think, instead of just saying let's cut them, I'm gonna instead just be like, okay, Jonno, give me your reasoning for Dark Samus.
Dark Samus is Samus yet dark. Prime at this point. We've got 1 and 2 out, massively acclaimed games, and 3 is quickly on the way. So it's in the prime of its life, if you will. So the popularity is there for the character, and it's one of many that Dark Samus, Crystal, a WarioWare character, an Animal Crossing character, what have you, that are all kind of vying within that same area for inclusion. That's really about it. I mean, plus the little like fan politics of it all. Oh, it's a villain.
If we didn't have Ridley, I would be more inclined to be like, yeah, Dark Samus, sure, let's add her in.
Oh, that's right. Ridley's already in.
Ridley is already in. Exactly.
I was having a harder time being like, yeah, Dark Samus, I like that. I'm like, I'm not, just because I'm like, it'll end up being an echo. I mean, obviously, our timeline, but
yeah.
But
while she is in Prime 2, she's actually let me double check. So she's actually, I don't think she really. How present is she in Prime 2? I know, like, Prime 3, she's the main villain. I need to check some things here. Let me see. Okay, Dark Samus, yeah. Dark Samus is in Prime 2 a decent bit. She's the final boss for both it and Corruption. When does Prime 3 release? 2007, so it was most likely in development at this time. But the characters have a I mean, I see reasons to include them, but I also feel like we just added Ridley in the last roster for Metroid. Like, Ridley was a GameCube pick. I don't feel like we necessarily need to have Dark Samus yet. Eventually, I do think she is a great villain choice to have represent Metroid, especially considering it's a series that is hard to represent with characters, because it's, generally speaking, monsters. And let's be real, Zero Samus, probably not ever being brought up. Probably not happening. But,
Mini Kraid, though.
Ravenbeak, eventually,
yes.
maybe. But I personally don't feel like we need Dark Samus just yet. I think she's a choice, but I think she's one of the weaker choices that we have right now. When Wayofftrail asked me who I thought was the weaker choice, and if I had to answer that question between just the Nintendo characters, Darksemus probably would have been my answer.
Okay. And I think Wayofftrail is feeling similarly, so we can.
I do feel similar to Xing
Okay.
Dark Samus.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine with me at this point. I'm not married to the idea of having her at this point.
All right. Jonno, what do you think we should hit up next?
Good question. How about just we have a mishmash of options here. Let's see. What do we feel about R.O.B and Chibi-Robo, our robotic friends? Because I could truly go either way on this argument.
I don't think they are necessarily in competition with each other. I think
Mhm.
they could be added independently of each other. I think Chibi-Robo's competition is Isaac and to a lesser degree the Miis.
Okay.
I was kind of thinking like Rob's kind of his own deal. Chibi-Robo, he would be like the Game and Watch of, I feel like of a roster, where he's like a unexpected, like all right, kind of character. Just because his game, I feel like didn't take off as much, but he is kind of like one of those just outskirts games that I feel like they would be like, let's try and bring this character in to boost him.
Mhm. Yeah,
Hey,
and I mean, they're Miyamoto and the EAD team that developed it are an influence, and that's how they've been able to keep Pikmin alive for so long until 4 seems to finally be taking it into the mainstream a bit. So that's true.
I do like Rob as an op as a character, and I mean, I personally like Chibi-Robo as being a character. I like both of them as being characters.
You're right. There's potentially room for both. It's just that I see this list, and we have solo inclusions on so many first and second. We have Lucas, Crystal, Mona, R.O.B, Chibi-Robo, me, Tom Nook, Isaac. There's a lot of wiggle room
Yeah,
in that space.
agreed.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to navigate.
I think with these 4 characters, I'll say, I think the Miis are actually Rob's competition. The- They don't necessarily have to be like they could both be added, but if I had to pick somebody that it was like a Rob or this person, it'd be Rob or Miis. And then similarly, like we could have both again, but I think it's more like Isaac or Chibi-Robo. With them four, I think I think Rob is a definite inclusion. Uh, we already have like the retro characters, like that, like the primary retro character you have to have with Mr. Game and Watch. After that, Rob feels like the one that is the most important to include, just from his sheer importance, not just to Nintendo, but to gaming as a whole. If Nintendo did not package the robotic operating buddy with the NES in America, it is extremely likely that the gaming industry would never have recovered in America, and we would not be here today.
Yeah, I agree. Rob should be on this list. I think Rob is a good strong contender here.
Rob is, and I don't necessarily dislike the idea of having Mii's come in at this point, where they're at the height of their popularity and their utility for Nintendo. And if you have them use their like sports oriented moveset, and you wanted to include the 3 other Mii fighters later on, you could then evolve this Mii character into the Mii athlete.
True.
Have it be.
Yeah, I do like that actually.
Mhm.
I
I,
will.
I do. Go ahead.
I will say I'm not 100% sold on the Mii's just yet. Uh, that the fact being because they were introduced with the Wii console. Yes, they are in Avatar and they're in games, but this game is being. We've set our deadline to have this game start being developed 2006. When did the Wii The Wii released in November of 2006. Our deadline for this is December 2006.
Oh, I would cut the Mii's.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
I honestly
knowing that,
wasn't aware of how close that was. But knowing this, I don't think we can properly gauge how
they wouldn't know how popular they got yet.
exactly or how prolific they were going to be.
Okay.
I think. Well, I like the idea of Mii's. I mean, obviously, I made a moveset for the Mii's back in the day. I think at this point, it is too early to add them into Smash.
The only reason I would say they might would be like they'd be like, oh, this is the way to make people make more of them. But
Right.
I don't know if they would have necessarily known that yet.
Yeah.
So I'm for Xing them and check marking R.O.B.
Yeah, I think there's room for R.O.B at this point then. Okay, the Ancient Minister stays intact.
Whew, we still have our storyline.
We do. What a storyline that was. Remember the fervor on the internet at the time? Oh, the Ancient Minister is shaped like R.O.B.
Yeah, I bought into that theory. I was like, oh my god, you're kind of right. Holy shit.
And then it was true. It was true.
Yep.
That was cool.
All right, we got 8 slots left, ladies and gents.
We
Yeah, we do.
do.
Yeah, we do.
Half the roster is here. Ha! All right.
And 21 characters remain.
Well, some of these are doubled, but
No, 21 unique characters remain.
oh Jesus Christ! Okay, that scares me. Okay. Let's see. Where do we want to go here?
There's a character I kind of want to mention. I just don't know enough about this character.
Okay.
Mona from WarioWare. I'm not a huge fan of WarioWare. I kind of think it's dumb, but I just don't know enough. Like, I'm just kind of throwing it out there because we haven't talked about her.
Fair.
What do you guys think she would be in, like, a big enough name to be in this?
Personally, I think there is merit in a WarioWare character. I don't know if we have the room for it right now. We have 7 years of gaming history right now. We have 21 unique characters, Jesus Christ, in 8 slots. Honestly, I hold on Midna or on Mona personally. Like WarioWare is great. Smooth Moves was actually the game that like got me into the series. That game doesn't exist yet in the timeline. That's going to be in a few years. That's a Wii game. Actually, I don't. Pretty sure that was not a launch title. Was it a launch title? Even if it was a launch title, I mean, it's been a month since the game.
No, it came out.
It was a launch title, December 2006.
Oh, nice. Nice. I love that game.
Yeah, it's great, but even then, it's been a month. It's been less than a month since that game came out. Oh, yeah, I guess technically not a launch title, but close fucking enough.
All the same, still you have your. I think you still have your basis for the character of Mona. She still has her scooter. She still has pizza, animal friends, or cheerleader shit. Camera. There's a lot you can do with the character. It's less about, I think, execution because there's enough there, and more like, is there space for it now?
Yeah. I feel like Chibi-Robo is her competition. Like I mentioned Chibi-Robo and Isaac being competition in the regards of they're both new series that haven't been introduced into Smash yet. But in terms of like how they function and how they kind of be like wackier characters that aren't just like conforming to what you would typically imagine for a fighter, I think Mona and Chibi-Robo fill a similar niche.
Would you say then that it's one over the other, and we would be including the other at this point?
I, again, don't know WarioWare, but I will say the first character on my list was Chibi-Robo. He was the first one I added. When I was like, you can make a... I'm like, oh, Chibi-Robo, hell yeah. Like- Yeah, he's got a cult following, I feel like.
I think Mona would be the more typical choice. I think Chibi-Robo is the more Sakurai choice, where it's like, here's a not unpopular, but here's an unexpected pick that I don't think would be predicted as a likely choice, but is one that you can have some fun with in design. They're not going to be like they're not a brawler, but they've got some fun tools for them that would make them fun to design and fun to play. Mona can as well, but I think Chibi-Robo is the more surprising choice in a fun way.
Yeah, so again, are we comfortable with saying we would fast track one of them then?
Yeah.
Because it's totally Chibi-Robo.
Okay, I'm like, I don't want to say it because he's on my list, but I really love Chibi-Robo.
I am comfortable with putting Chibi-Robo on.
Now the forum talk is going to be like, oh, there's too many robots in Smash.
There's two. Calm down, children.
Wrong. Mega Man X.
There's 2.5. Calm down, children.
3. He's not a cyborg. He's a robot.
Oh. Shut up, children.
Fair. You say that every day.
Yeah, fair. There's a third-party choice I would like to maybe bring to attention to maybe fast track.
Oh, okay.
I really like 2 of our third-party choices, like really big, and they're both Jonnos. Pac-Man and Rayman.
Okay.
I really like them. Like, I think they would be great third-party choices. Obviously, we've seen Pac-Man in Smash, and because you can do some fun stuff with him. And then Rayman, like, I have been kind of surprised he hasn't appeared in Smash. I feel like he'd be a cool ambassador for Smash.
He got a whole ass trophy in 4, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, which is really weird. And I think Glowbox also got a trophy.
Which is even weirder.
Yeah. I will say that both of those characters were on my short list for potential third parties. I didn't add Rayman. Actually, Rayman was like a very, very late cut. Honestly, I put Phoenix right over him just at the end because I fucking love him. And I did include Pac-Man on my list because like, because it was Pac-Man or Lloyd because they're both from Namco Bandai. I was trying to like not have too much for the same company. Something I've tried to do so far with each one, but like I would probably only pick one of them over the other. Rayman is also a solid choice. I'm not a big Rayman aficionado. I don't know it very well. I know it's a platformer, and his body parts float, and he can punch really far because of that. And that's about the extent of my Rayman knowledge.
To a point, that's kind of it. But that's what makes the character interesting.
Yeah, I think he's interesting, and he's got like, from what I haven't played his games, but like even then, I haven't played his games, but I know him.
Yeah.
Like, I know what he looks like. I know, like, I even know like a couple of the other characters he runs around with, what they look like. And like, I think he would just help boost. I think he would help bring in new people.
I could say the same for Ratchet and Clank or Sora, Phoenix Wright as well. I think there's a number of really strong third party choices. Is this kind of a is this the box you want to open right now, Lister?
You know what? Like, here's what I'm going to say. If we're going to add in a third party, at least one third party, we're also going to kill some.
I'll say here's my easy way for my list, because I have 3 third parties. I'm willing to say, of my 3, Sora would be the one I would choose of my 3. Like, I'm not saying he has to be in. I'm just saying, like, if I had to put them in contention, I would knock out Ratchet and Clank and II for Sora.
Okay.
I think he would do better.
I would tend to agree. I'm not saying to cross either of those 2 out, but at this time, Sora is, amongst all of our characters remaining, the biggest splash, He's more feasible at this point because Smash has been around for so long. Chain of Memories was more recently released on the GBA, so he has a Nintendo precedence as well. It's not that, it's not that far of a stretch. I think Pac-Man is probably the strongest on my list remaining because he's Pac-Man. I mean that's like this unbeatable force of nature where it's like we don't say it very often, but Pac-Man, if he's not here now, he will be very soon.
He will probably be
Right.
brought up every episode until he's done.
Yeah, he is Pac-Man. And I think Lister's is probably Phoenix. Capcom and Nintendo have a really strong relationship, and as I said earlier, may as well be a Nintendo character as I thought he was.
Yeah, honestly.
So there's
Here's where
Go
I
ahead.
stand with all the third parties just as a lump sum. First of all, I do agree. I think Pac-Man is, of all the third parties, okay. We got Sonic. Now we get the grandfather of gaming, Pac-Man. Big, huge character pick. Legacy upon legacy for games. Uh, Part of me feels like if we include Pac-Man, maybe we drop Lloyd. I think he has a lot of value. I think he can fight uniquely, and he would also be he'd also be a JRPG pick that we don't have third party wise yet. But Sora can also potentially fill that slot. But their games work very differently. The reason why I argue for dropping Lloyd if we include Pac-Man is again they are both from Bandai Namco. Phoenix Wright. Phoenix Wright is from Capcom, who has a lot of good characters that we can choose from. Phoenix Wright's negative point is that he is a visual novel character, and therefore you have to invent something completely for him to work as a fighter. It did happen in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. He was made a fighter in the Ultimate edition of the game. That's a few years into the future, but that doesn't mean that it is possible to make Phoenix Wright work in Smash. And I think Sakurai could certainly do it. Rayman, I don't have a whole lot I can really say about Rayman just because I don't know him very well. He's a platformer from Ubisoft. Ubisoft, I don't know how friendly they were with Nintendo at the time. I know that there was at least one Rayman game on the N64. And I think the Wii gets a Rayman game. I just, obviously it's not released yet, most likely. And they can do some unique animations and attacks with how his limbs float through the air, disconnects from his body. I know less about I than Rayman and any other character that is in contention, other than he and Ball and he roll. Considering that he's also Sega, like Sonic, that leads me to feel like.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. I should be gone at this point.
Yeah. Ratchet and Clank, we've said they are the top potential pick for a Sony character. If Sony gets a character, it is Ratchet and Clank. I'm not sold yet on Sony having one.
Right, and I think with what we have up here for third parties and knowing the relationship, I think Ratchet and Clank should be gone as well.
Well, let's hold just a moment. Sora is a problem. And I say that for the same reason we've been saying Sora is a problem for years in reality. Lightning Crackle, Disney. Almighty Disney. Sora, let's peer back a little into Smash canon here. Sora was the winner of the Smash ballot that they held at the end of Smash 4's release. He got more votes than any other character worldwide of who fans wanted to see in Super Smash Bros. But Nintendo was just like, oh, I mean, amazing, but Disney, oh no. Nintendo, I don't want to use the word scared, but they were extremely hesitant to approach the Sora question. Sora only happened after a chance encounter between Sakurai and a Disney representative at E3. And a conversation from there sparked Sora being added as the final character into Ultimate. That is the only... Nintendo was initially not going to approach Sora. We were not going to have him. Sora, we were lucky to get Sora in Smash. Now we do have more Smash games in this new timeline we are creating, but I feel like Nintendo would still be of the same mind. Like, great choice. Disney scares us. They don't scare them necessarily, but I think they would be hesitant to approach Disney and have that conversation unless, again, another random chance encounter comes up. That's why Sora to me is a problem, and I have a hard time. Like, I want him, but I have a hard time saying, do it. At this point, my overall thoughts with third parties is add in Pac-Man right now, drop Lloyd, drop II. And then from there, I don't know.
Okay. I think that's a fair first move.
I agree with that. I would also drop Ratchet and Clank.
Are you sure?
100%.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. I like the idea of these characters, potentially having a Sony character. Although, yes, it is unfeasible for the time.
Maybe not this time. Maybe they'll pop back in next time.
With how far this series is going to go, it's a real possibility.
Yeah.
Even now, Sony's relationship with not just Nintendo but most gaming companies is kind of tenuous, like not allowing Rocket League to be crossplay between other platforms, so on and so forth.
Minecraft. They wouldn't do crossplay with fucking Minecraft.
Yeah. Sony turns out more AAA games per capita than any other first party developer does, and they're a really strong company. They have excellent systems, but that's their one blight. They don't know how to play nicely with Nintendo and Microsoft and many others.
I mean, with their CEO resigning, maybe we'll enter into a brighter future.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe, hopefully.
So we got 6 slots left. Mm-hmm. It's still like 15 characters.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But they're kind of split into blocks. Like we're gonna decide. Like the next time we talk on third parties, we're gonna ultimately decide who to add in, or all of them, or whatever. And then we have the Mario block and the Zelda block and the Pokemon block, and then just kind of everything else.
Okay. I'm going to go through all the characters. I'm going to say their names just to have them all be fresh in the mind. Bowser Jr., Waluigi, Tetra, Lucas, Skull Kid. Tetra and Skull Kid, then Lucas. Crystal, Trico, Marshtomp, Grovyle, Tom Nook, Sora. Oh, and I missed Isaac. Isaac from Golden Sun. Sora, Phoenix Wright, Rayman.
I would, at this point, like to argue that we just take the 2 Pokemon we got.
And what do you say to that, Lister?
I was going to say, let's either take the 2 third parties we got or pick one more third party and kill the other 2.
And what if I said something totally different too?
What do you say?
I have no idea. So let's do one of those 2 things. Mm-hmm.
I don't. We have so many good characters. I don't think we need to have 5 third parties. I think we can go with 3. Okay. I would just say 2, but since we added 3 in the previous episode, between Banjo, Ryu, and Snake, I think it'd be weird to do less than that. So I think add in 1 more, kill the other 2.
Okay. So we're in discussion. I think you shared your thoughts on Sora at this point, Spectrobes has released or is releasing on the DS. Q Interactive and Nintendo are selling licensing rights to Disney for Disney Media. So there's some like low key collabs happening. I wonder if that door could be open, because I think if the argument can be made for the door to be open to Disney that much sooner, and you can argue it happened 5 games in for Smash proper, and this is 5 games in for Smash in this world. If we can make that argument, then I think Sora's an easy pick. I mean, look at him. He's Sora.
Right. I would say of these three, if especially in a world where they're making more of these games, they're going to have to be like, okay, we'll ask. They're going to have to be a little more like, all right, if we want to use these third-party games, we're going to have to actually, ask about them.
Right.
I would say of the three, I think Sora is the better option.
Perhaps
That's my
because
thought.
Smash is such a cultural behemoth, and has been in our world since the start. In this iteration where it's been around since the NES era and in the 80s, maybe it really does hold that weight. Maybe it does. But what where's Zantok's thoughts right now?
First of all, Zantok was doing math, and we actually have 7 slots available still.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. For some reason I had in my mind that we had like 5 or 6. No, we have 7 slots still.
Okay.
I have us as having 10 people selected.
I only see 9.
Olimar, Sonic, Lucario, Paper Mario, Midna, Ike, Blaziken, R.O.B, Chibi-Robo, Pac-Man. That's 10.
Yep.
I'm only seeing 9 check marks.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I see 10 check marks.
Yeah. Where the hell am I missing somebody?
Is it R.O.B?
There's 5 on mine, and there's 2 on Wayofftrails.
Pac-Man is who I missed.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been keeping track just in case.
Okay. There we go. So that's so I was focused on that. All I know is that you guys were talking about Sora.
Yeah, at least I said I think Sora should remain versus the other two.
Sora is the most prolific. Disney is my only hang-up.
I kind of conferred that Disney at this point may have been a little more hung up, but they are working with Nintendo to publish unique IP on their systems. This was the Spectrobes era. This was Disney Medios. This was a few other like unique Disney IPs coming out. They also had a storied history in the NES and Super Nintendo eras, with many awesome, great licensed games. So perhaps in this world where Smash started this much sooner and had an opportunity to shift the gaming culture that much sooner, maybe Sora isn't as much of an impossibility as he was in our timeline at this time. Maybe 5 games in, with Ultimate being the 5th game in the series proper in our world, and having Sora in is equivalent to being 5 games in with Brawl in this one and Sora.
Okay.
Those are my thoughts. I mean, otherwise, Phoenix and Rayman are kind of on. There's reasons for both. But I mean, again, if we can wrap our heads or collectively, if the 3 of us can say it's at least a possibility, that's a decent-ish possibility that Disney would budge, then Sora's obviously it, and then otherwise it's one of the other 2.
Something else I'm looking on this is Epic Mickey. Epic Mickey only released on the Wii, and I'm looking at its development stuff right now. Apparently, a company wanted to make the game back in 2003, but Disney couldn't because at the time they did not own the rights to Oswald anymore. Or
what?
Yeah,
That's so strange.
Yeah, it was only when Universal, I don't not Uni- when NBC uh, became part of Disney or something to that effect that they actually had the rights and they could do that. And originally the game was going to be this was in 2006. And originally the game was going to be made just for the PS3 and the 360. And they used in 2007 they were thinking about a Wii port. No, wait, no. 2007 is when it started development. Sorry, discussion came back up in 2000. It became possible in 2006. Uh, they started considering a port on the Wii. They're just like with how the game is currently set up with 360 and PS3, it's not possible to make a Wii port work. We'd have to completely redesign how the game functions. And they eventually decided, then fuck it, only release it on the Wii, drop PS3 and 360, and that started in 2008. Now the timeline doesn't strictly match up here, but you could argue, maybe rarely, rarely it occurs that Smash has usually the characters are decided on ahead of time, and this does not change. There are rare exceptions to this rule. Perhaps Sora is an exception, and while he wouldn't have been like started working on 2008, timeline being adjusted here, maybe with the other Disney games, maybe with Epic Mickey being brought up, maybe partway in development, the question of Sora gets brought up, and it's like, oh shit, we can do this? Okay, we're doing it. We found a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, could be. That's one possibility in a realm of many.
Do we want to say that?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, why the fuck not? We are here in...
We're making history.
We are making history. We can...
It's going to be real hard for the next one to follow up on the Titans of Sonic, Pac-Man, Sora.
Yeah, everything's downhill from here.
I mean...
yeah, who's next? Bayonetta?
Huh? I mean, I can't say it because I know what's next for me.
How about that hurt you right there? Putting that next thing.
No.
You
think there are a lot of incorrect things about me, sir.
But he's your
I knew Phoenix was going to be a tough sell.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix was a very last minute addition to my list.
RuneScape.
Don't think you know me.
He was almost on my list.
I know.
Almost.
All right.
We got
5
spaces
left. 12 characters to debate between. I have listed them in blocks for myself. Bowser and Waluigi, Bowser Jr. and Waluigi. Bowser's already in. Tetra Skull Kid, Trico Marshtomp Grovile, Lindis, Crystal, Tom Nook, Lucas, Isaac. What my heart says? My heart. Oh God.
I mean, I said it before. I think we have enough Pokemon.
Fuck. I was gonna try and argue, but I don't think I can.
I would say not with what we have remaining, and I feel like with all these other things, they're just... I'd rather see these other things than those Pokemon.
How do we not have room for the Pokemon Trainer when Smash Brawl did and had weaker offerings against them?
I don't know.
Oh my God. I don't know. How? I hate it, but I have to agree.
I do as well. I mean, I would have loved the Pokemon Trainer to come in at this point with the Hoenn Pokemon, but 5 slots left. That's very difficult to say yes to.
Yeah. Damn.
There were 4 Pokemon in Brawl. I mean, the Trainer and Lucario, but here it's just a tighter competition.
Well, that leaves us with 5 slots with 9 characters remaining.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, give me a moment here to get this set up because I have some thoughts on this. Okay, so those are all there now. So I feel like one more probably only one more Mario character at this point. Possibly a second Zelda character. Possibly a second Fire Emblem. I think Tom Nook has a strong chance. I think Isaac. I like Isaac. I'm not 100% on him. I think he might be one of the last ones in my mind. Same with Crystal. I think she's down there, and Lucas, I think, is down there.
I don't know Isaac at all. Lucas is probably one of my lowest on the list. I mean, again, not a huge game I'm a super fan of. Plus, Ness is already in. And then, yeah, we'd have to decide between some of these others. Not sure about the Fire Emblem character. Again, I don't know that character very well, though.
Fair. Here's my viewpoint. Oof. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say this. Let's add in definitively just do one more Mario, and let's do one more Zelda. And
That I
we'll-
agree with.
Then we'll kill the remainder of them. So Waluigi or Bowser Jr., Tetra or Skull Kid. Kill the others. We'll have 3 slots left and 5 characters to debate.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do Mario
makes
first.
sense.
Mario first.
Waluigi
Okay.
or Bowser Jr. I know I have an opinion here.
This is a tough one.
Let's hear from you
It's
guys
funny
first.
because, yeah, I came into this thinking Bowser Jr. was easily the best possible option for Mario at this point. Given recency bias with Sunshine and how big that still was at the time as only the second 3D Mario platformer to ever be released. And having a unique moveset potential with the paintbrush being character, just a cute little guy. But really, him and Waluigi are evenly matched in respects because Waluigi at this point, he's packed Mario Tennis and Golf and several parties under his belt. He's arguably a more ubiquitous character than Bowser Jr., despite Bowser Jr. being that mainline Mario character. So you want to go the main Mario character route, or do you want to rewrite history and go Waluigi's here? Because it's kind of a battle of conventionalist brain, knowing what really probably would have happened, versus like my heart that says "Awa," you know.
My thoughts are it's so weird Waluigi not being in because of Mario, Luigi, and Mario all being in. Daisy Peach, it just seems like for some reason he's not.
Well, Daisy's not in for us yet.
Oh, not yet. Sorry. But Bowser Jr. Sure, he's been in a couple things, but he was just in a game that kind of didn't do so great. But I still love his design. It's a tough call.
Didn't do
So-
great, but in the personal opinions of some gamers, it was still very critically acclaimed at the time.
Right. It's still a staple game.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my thoughts on these two. I have looked at what games Bowser Jr. is in that exist at this point in the timeline. Obviously, Super Mario Sunshine. He uses the paintbrush. He becomes Shadow Mario. Flings around goop, shit like that. He's also in New Super Mario Brothers on the DS.
Yeah.
In that game, he does not have the Koopa Clown card. That will come up in the next in New Super Mario Brothers Wii, which is most likely in development at this point. But he just kind of runs around and goes in his shell and stuff. Basic stuff, being a simple boss. He's also in Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. Sure, whatever. He's also in Mario Kart Double Dash.
Okay, so
And
he
he's
has appeared in enough things
Yeah,
now.
and he's
Yes.
in Mario Power Tennis. So
Wow.
2 mainline games, 3 spin-offs. Waluigi is in a lot of spin-offs and is only in spin-offs. I love Waluigi. I like him a lot, but I honestly feel like he is weaker in Bowser Jr. in this point. He's the only one of these two on my list. But even when I was making my list, after the fact, probably a week before we sat down to record, I considered removing Waluigi from my list because I do feel like that one is just personal bias. Bowser Jr. is a stronger overall Mario choice to add in. I feel like I want Waluigi, but yes, there is Mario, Luigi, Wario, Waluigi. But honestly, Waluigi is not on the same level as any of them. Waluigi is spin-offs only. He's never been in a mainline game for anybody. He's not even been in a WarioWare game, which you'd kind of think they'd put him in like a new Wario Land or a new WarioWare. It just makes
I
sense, but
wish.
he's not there.
It's kind of weird that he even exists. Like he wasn't just a one-off.
Right. Like if we're talking 2023, 2024 timeline, we're past Smash Ultimate. Waluigi is the choice.
Uh-huh.
But at this point in time, with the Wii and with Brawl, I actually think it's Bowser Jr. I think that's who we include.
Yeah, Paintbrush Bowser Jr.
I agree.
Yeah, I really want. I was trying to figure out a way for Waluigi, but yeah, Bowser Jr. is such a good pick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Waluigi will, spoilers, he's going to get at it eventually.
Could easily
But
be the one.
it might
He's
be.
not here. He's not here.
He's not here. I honestly didn't think he would be. I thought his only chance would be if we had 3 Mario characters, but I really wasn't sure how those numbers would end up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Bowser Jr.
Oh,
I think that's
yeah.
the one.
That's a little sad. I'm a little sad about Waluigi here.
Oh, I am too.
He will get his time in the sun. He
All
very soon.
right, it looks like our next battle is Tetra and Skull Kid.
Mm-hmm.
I might be biased, but I lean Skull Kid.
I have some thoughts to offer, having not had either of them on my not that I wouldn't have, it's just kind of how it worked out. There's pros and cons for each.
Yep.
They both have unique moveset potential, so bada bing, bada boom, there you go. Majora's Mask, con. Older than Wind Waker, they may want to promote. Tetra, con. Triforce wielder and to Zantok's own profession.
I don't think
saying-
Tetra has the Triforce. Does she?
She does.
Does she?
She's Zelda, technically.
Look, I know
Yeah.
she's Zelda, but does she have the Triforce in Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass?
Yes, because she has to. I think she powers up your arrows with using it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, correct. Yeah, she always has the Triforce. It occurs every game. Any wisdom?
Not in Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Otherwise, it's a hard choice for me to make. What do you guys think?
For
I
me,
Skull Kid.
I did say I lean Skull Kid, but here's kind of why. Skull Kid is like he's the face, like literally, of Majora's Mask, and he is kind of his face is so well known. And then there's Tetra, who she's not as well known. Even in Wind Waker, she's not in it as often, as much. But I like her as a character. I really do. But I think if you're trying to make a better roster, you would include Skull Kid first.
Here's what I think about both characters. And I kind of feel I don't like only one of them is on my list, but I'm not set either way. So I'm basically going to say my stats on both of these and then throw it back to Jonno. Tetra is from the more recent game of the two, but not the most recent Zelda game. So I don't necessarily know that they need to say, like, let's add Tetra to promote the Wind Waker because it's the new game. Like, it's not the new game. Twilight Princess is. And we have Midna here. Tetra is also a female character. She is a pirate, which is new for Smash at this point. She's going to have both sword and gun. She could even have some kind of attack involving a watery attack of some sort. Final Smash is probably going to be her summoning her boat to fire cannons at the screen. She is an alternate form of Zelda, though you don't know that for a large majority of the game, kind of like Washik. But Tetra, I don't even remember if Tetra knows that she's Zelda until late in the game. Maybe she does and she just hides it. I don't remember. I only ever watched Wind Waker. So we have a Triforce wielder. We have Ganon and Ganondorf. There is room for Zelda and Tetra. Makes more sense than Link and Link.
I think we can all agree there.
Right. And you can kind of argue that Midna brings along a second Link with her, so then you kind of could have two of each Triforce wielder if you want to look at it that way. Skull Kid, older game, but again, I don't really feel like that's a big issue. Uh, doesn't necessarily have a defined move set, which is both a boon and a bane, where they have to get creative, but they also get to be creative. Sometimes it's good for characters, sometimes it's bad for characters. Hard to say what that would line up with Skull Kid. Um, they could kind of do something with different masks. I think they just stick it to Majora's. I don't think you need to have any kind of mechanic using the other masks that are in the game. That might be hard to handle anyways. Final Smash, I don't bring in Majora's Wrath or the true form Majora at all. It's just the moon. Other attacks though, I don't fucking know what to do with a Skull Kid moveset. I would love to make a moveset for him one day, but it is extremely ambiguous and open, and I don't know what to do. So it's hard for me to just envision that. Whereas Tetra is a lot more easily definable.
Sure.
Each one, like one. And I guess it just represent different eras of Zelda. I'm trying to think of any other thing about them, but that's really where I got. Technically, Skull Kid is in two games. Technically, Tetra is in two games. I don't know if her second game is released yet at this point in timeline. If Phantom Hourglass is out, I guess I can check that real quick. Let me see. Yeah. Phantom Hourglass is not released, but it is most likely in development. And Skull Kid technically is in two games because he's in Ocarina of Time, but he's really just like a typical Skull Kid. He's not the Skull Kid yet, because Skull Kids are actually a race, and this is just one in particular.
Yeah, and it is that Skull Kid from the Lost Woods, so it's cool and interesting.
Oh, development on Phantom Hourglass started in 2004, so the game is definitely in development, and they actually wanted to release it in late 2006.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Maybe it did in this world. They spent that much time on Phantom Hourglass, and it still turned out that way. Okay. Yeah, they're truly they are very evenly matched. They're both relatively prominent in the games. If you love Majora's Mask, obviously you love Skull Kid. If you love Wind Waker, you love Tetra. And Midna is the most recent out of all of them, so that beats the recency argument out of the equation. I'm gonna approach this because it sounds like I have to be at the tiebreaker here.
Not necessarily tiebreaker because I can go either way, but I do want to hear your opinion.
Okay, it's tough. It's tough, but I will my ultimately my vote. I don't think I'm changing it. My vote is Tetra, and here's why. It comes down to the moveset. Skull Kid absolutely has moveset potential. It is difficult to define, as you say, but that's not why my vote is against him. It is because we arguably have other characters that fill a sorcerer-ish niche, including Ganon, Ganondorf, potentially parts of Midna's moveset. So having a pirate come in
potentially Crystal.
So having a pirate come in is a little more unique in that sense. And Wind Waker also presents more of a tonal shift between the characters represented than Midna and Skull Kid would, with Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask both being the darkest games in Zelda's timeline.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Is Twilight Princess dark, or is it just dark visually?
It's dark. It doesn't have as many elements of outright like bizarre
It's
horror
not.
as
Yeah,
but
like Majora, the creature, is an eldritch horror.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it does
Like I
have it
guess
does.
Zant is horrifying to look at.
Mhm. It does have its moments though. It does. It has it's an eerie game.
That's eerie. Okay, yeah, eerie. I'll take the word eerie for part of Twilight Princess.
Mm-hmm.
Dark, I think, is a stretch personally. Wayofftrail, what do you think about all that?
This is why I think. Well, fuck you guys.
Pretty much. No, I'm still like I love Wind Waker, but I would not put Tetra as my number one from Wind Waker.
I was going back and forth time and again.
Well,
With,
hold on. Hold on.
I
You just
still
said
lean
she would
Skull
not
Kid here.
be. Well, hold on. I need this question here. You said that Tetra would not be your number one from Wind Waker.
I like even well, like I get like Link Toon Link obviously would have been better. I mean, I'm not a
Yes.
huge fan again of like all the different links,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Tetra just I've played through that game like multiple times, which I don't play through games multiple times, and Tetra's okay. Like where Skull Kid is, I feel like he's just way more interesting to me as a character.
oh, the characterization, yeah, totally.
Yeah, and yeah, you could do a lot with him. I feel like, but I understand if it goes the other way. But I do think Skull Kid is better.
Orca from the Wind Waker, though, with his spear.
Error.
Yeah. You have to
From
train
the
with him.
original Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
I am Error.
Yes. We could
The
have
one moblin that says it's a secret to everyone.
Well, Jonno, we know the true winner from Wind Waker was Beetle, but
Actually, I think Jonno says Lineback.
Lineback is. I like Lineback, but I hate Northwest.
You made a move set for Lineback. You never made a move set for Beetle.
Oh, I made one for Beetle as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
I have to check the notes. I know you argued Lineback to me many years ago. I'm just like, what? No.
Probably when he was far more recent. Lineback or Girahim?
Fuck both of them. Fuck Yurihim. Okay, so we need to make a choice. We need to do this. Skull Kid or Tetra. I think either or are great. But I do believe my lean for this would be Tetra. We have some other characters that are more kind of out there with some of what they can do. Well, I don't know if that's strictly true as far as like Skull Kid is an extreme case, I think. Not to say that he's bad, but I think for this, I will go Tetra. And Skull Kid is a possibility to come up later on.
Totally. This is the opportunity to do Zelda right, and if Skull Kid is constantly in the eyes of fans one of the top like 5 choices for Zelda, then he's going to come up again.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, I think either of them could come up again, but adding one of them now, I pick Tetra.
I will.
Then we never have to pick another Triforce builder ever again because they both technically have 2 in the game.
Well, there's a plus. Yeah, it's a hard vote for me, but I vote Tetra as well. Skull Kid makes the bigger impression as a character. Sure, I agree, but and I don't know, something about where we're at now with mapping these characters out, she just feels a little more right in my head from a Smash basis.
Agreed.
And I guess that's where like I'm looking at it, a little bit differently than you guys. Is you're looking at all of the ones you currently have, where I'm looking at just this like between these two, like who I'd rather like to see in Smash.
Fair enough.
So it makes sense. I get it.
It's a good approach. I mean,
I've also Skull Kid's like also one of my favorite Zelda characters in the whole franchise. So
He's great. He's a top tier choice. I want him now. I want Zelda to give me so many characters, and they're not doing it. It's like, fuckers.
I don't know what the holdup is, if that's a Sakurai or a Nintendo thing, but it needs to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got 3 spots available, and we are down to 5.
I'm gonna throw this out right now. The weakest link of all 5 of these is Lucas, and I'm okay with cutting Lucas right now.
Yeah, I would agree. He's the one I've kind of been eyeing to
Like
pop out of here.
Earthbound is very popular, but Mother 3 did not release outside of Japan. He can still be brought up later, but I think with these characters, I would not include Lucas over any of them.
And then we just gotta.
He doesn't quite know why.
Right, then we just gotta cut one more. Does Fire Emblem need to? Oh, dog.
If it was some other character, I would say no, but I think there's room for Lindis and Ike specifically. Otherwise, there is Crystal, Isaac, and Tom Nook. And honestly, of them, I don't know who to go for.
I would say of the 4, Tom Nook should be approved.
Jonno, what do you think?
Looking at these franchises now, consider the popularity and the presence of each. I actually, I would concur at this point. I think Tom Nook is probably the most prominent of the 4. Besides that, unique battle. How many slots do we have left after this?
If we include Tom Nook, right now there are 3 slots. If we include Tom Nook, there's 2. And including him, there are 4 characters up for debate. So only 1 cut needs to be made.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have thoughts on Tom, or would you agree?
Tom, I was gonna say that I thought Tom Nook was like he's not who I would pick as the next one, but I am good to include Tom Nook as one of our final characters.
I wasn't sure if Animal Crossing was going to warrant a spot at this point, but I think we've gotten to this point where looking at who's left, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it just gets a little more difficult.
All right, and with the final 3, I'll say my thoughts here. I only know one of these characters in the final 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I only know Crystal. The other 2, I do not know at all. So really, my vote here is going to be Crystal, obviously, because, again, I don't know them, but I could be persuaded. But it is interesting. 2 of us do have her on our list.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They're all unique enough. I mean, Crystal has the powers of her staff, which are many and varied. She's a kind of a martial artist with the way that she's able to maneuver her staff. She can shoot fire from it. Has ice magic. I'm not sure what the execution is. I've forgotten after not playing it for so long. She can do like this seismic quake attack with her staff. Fly up into the air with it. There's plenty. I mean, you can incorporate her storm runner, I think they're called, the pterodactyl. That could be like in her final smash or something. It could be her entrance animation. There's a lot you can do with the dinosaurs potentially. And Soria would be a badass stage to have. Isaac from Golden Sun, again, until later games where we're kind of like, okay, we've kind of run through the races here. Like, I don't know if Isaac would be the best choice for Smash 4, for instance. Like, this is kind of his time in the sun, the Golden Sun, if you will, for a little while. Like, I don't think I would bring him up again for 1 or 2 other games. Not to say he won't ever make it in, but this is kind of we're striking while the iron's hot kind of thing. Isaac is a wielder. He's a psychic like Lucas, but the way that he uses his synergy, they call it, his magic in Golden Sun is quite different. It's a very puzzle forward RPG series. So he's able to use his synergy and like summon glyphs and runes to do different things. Like he's able to stir an earthquake. He's able to summon a giant hand that moves things across like moves blocks or people across great chasms, or can grab things, and kind of like his own little mini master hand. And he's able to summon up to 2 at a time. He has a growth ability that summons vines that can maneuver and go over objects or attack people in different ways. And he's able to summon the power of these these genie-like characters that are super powerful, kind of like some of the summons in Final Fantasy. There's a number of different psychic, magical things that are being incorporated into the moveset. Lynn, maybe a little more simple from, just by comparison, because who wouldn't be? Yes, she is a sword wielder. Fire Emblem has an issue with that in our realm, but it's not really the weapon, it's how the weapon's executed. She's coming at it from a totally different way. She's a sword fighter from the plains. She's not a fancy fencer like Marth, and would not fight like him or Ike at all. She's fighting more like a samurai, or perhaps more appropriately Ronin, like an almost like a ninja-ish, samurai-ish character, like a crossroads between the two, with all of the fun animations that come with that. Very acrobatic character who also has the capability to use a bow. So, good lord, and we have to cut one of them.
Yep. So while you were going through all that, I did a little bit of looking at these characters in their games, kind of like what the reception was for all of them. Golden Sun was well received. There was some criticism for some of its combat, it looks like, but the first 2 games were both received pretty well. At this point, they are also the older games compared to what we have here, as I think it said 2003 was when the second Golden Sun game released. So it's been some time since then. Crystal, Star Fox Adventures, not well received. If we all know it's true. If she wasn't in Assault, I would have cut Crystal early on. Because because we just added Wolf in the last roster. 2, because nobody liked her game. But the fact that she's in Assault does help her. The staff isn't an Assault, but everybody knows that if Crystal gets in Smash, she's using the fucking staff. That we all know this.
Oh yeah.
We're not gonna make her be like the rest of the fucking space animals are, which is the same goddamn moveset. It's so dumb.
Imagine she makes it in after having the staff in Ultimate, and then turning around and being like, "Oh, Crystal's playable in Smash 6 with Crystal Rush as her side special."
Kill me now. And then Lynn, her game was also well received. It was one of I think I saw it. That was the 6th highest reviewed game on the Game Boy Advance in 2003, going by Metacritic ratings, which is pretty fucking substantial in my opinion. The face of outside of Marth and Roy, who got introduced to the West via Smash, she was the first face of Fire Emblem, as she's the first character that any of us met in an actual Fire Emblem game. And that game was, as I mentioned, it was also well received. Negatives for them: we've got a couple sword fighters already in the roster, and some that we've added in here. Ike, heavy sword fighter. Sora, technically a sword fighter. Bowser Jr. probably swings his paintbrush wildly like a sword, I would imagine. Tetra has a sword. Is this too much sword? I don't know.
My thought too might be that Takamaru and her have a bit of crossover.
I probably to a degree. Takamaru is going to be more traditional, very traditional samurai. Lynn is going to be more freeform. She's more of a self-taught. I don't know if she was strictly self-taught, but she would be more self-taught. This is my sword style, very focused on fast, speedy moves.
Mhm.
But with the
Definitely.
bow backing her up as well helps her. Crystal, unique moveset with the staff. Her biggest hang up is nobody likes adventures. Uh, so the thing that makes her unique was a game that nobody really liked. And
Interesting.
then Isaac,
But everyone liked her.
yeah, Isaac's game was well received, but I think it was more in the niche category. It
Mhm.
has its loud fans, but it hasn't gotten any. For some reason, it doesn't get further out than its niche community, which is
Right.
weird. I feel like it should. It just hasn't.
Too. Me too.
Part personally of these three, and they're all three great choices. God, it's hard. I lean. I lean. Keep Lynn. Drop one of the other two.
Shocked, I tell you. I if you're going purely by pedigree, like which character is the most prominent, well known, well received at the time, Lynn is one. Um, Isaac is a very unique moveset prospect. He has so much going for him from that angle, and we have had very niche choices previously. Maybe perhaps Ness, and when we brought him in on the Super Nintendo was, Earthbound's a cult classic series, so there is a precedent to include some of those more niche characters.
Which we
Um,
have with Chibi-Robo.
hmm And although that doesn't necessarily knock them both out. Um, and then Crystal, uh, Lynn has the pedigree, and Crystal and Isaac both arguably have stronger moveset, like from sheer like unique potential standpoint, a stronger moveset potential. Um, I like all of them, and it's very difficult. Uh, yeah, yeah. I think it. God, yeah, it's difficult to say the lean. It's really easy to say, oh, I'll lean Crystal because it's on both Wayofftrail and mine's list. Um, the fight becomes difficult after that between Isaac and Lynn, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Let me ask it this way: of these three, if you were to pick one of them, not necessarily as the final character, because like there's room for more, but if you were to pick one that is the thing that what do you think who should be added the most, who do you choose?
It's indeed very difficult. Huh. I mm, think I think it's between a couple of characters here. I think I'm kind of edging Isaac out here. When you talk about it from the niche standpoint, you're saying, "Oh, Chibi-Robo's already niche." It makes an easy stab when otherwise these characters are impenetrable. Um, so who would I fast track? To the chagrin of Mike, probably Lynn, but I would say my votes are probably Lynn and Crystal.
Okay, then let's finish this here and now. Lynn and Crystal are in. Isaac is out.
We did it.
And it only took us 3 hours and 50 minutes.
I only want to die. It's okay.
All right. Well, we've got this settled here. I'm just gonna, because I like my graphics, I'm gonna finish up putting it on here, and we'll just go a quick overview of who made it onto this roster before we can end things out. It's been a long one. This is our longest episode of this series so far. Not shocked by this. Very good chance that the remaining 3 episodes will get even longer. Oh, God, kill me now.
Haha, not in those.
You're not. You're not.
I did my time.
You did your time. 12 years of it.
Yeah.
But to finish this off, the characters we are adding to the Super Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii roster for our new Smash Roster Redux project are Bowser Jr., Paper Mario, Midna, Tetra, Ike, Lynn, Crystal, Blaziken, Lucario, Captain Olimar, Tom Nook, R.O.B, Sora, Sonic, Pac-Man. Who did I forget?
Chibi-Robo, the best one.
See, when I'm looking at it with this format, it's very easy to miss one. Chibi-Robo, that's the last one. We did it. There's a roster for Brawl. Wayofftrail, thank you so much for sticking around for us for very close to 4 hours. Your time is done. Next episode will be a new guest. We're moving on further into the timeline. I think we're going about another 6 years to Smash 4, the Wii U, and 3DS. Oh boy.
I feel so sorry for that next guest.
Greater. Yeah.
They have to deal with you and Jonno. I mean,
for probably another 4 hours at least. Yeah,
that's rough. And they don't have Chibi-Robo as an easy win, so
they don't. All
However,
right.
I do hope them the best with Skull Kid.
What a roster. This was a fun exercise.
Always is.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks.
With that, we'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.